It's my hope that you had a great weekend and looking forward to greatness. My name is Linda Alela and it's day declared a holiday. All systems go for counties, constituencies and wards headed for an exercise to elect their representative. That is after the IEBC, postponed the elections in these specific areas twice. And so we'll be looking at what is likely to play out in Kakamega County, Mombasa County and so much more of these very important areas as the IEBC has assured the people of these specific areas that it will be a free and fair process and they are ready for this election that is slated for today. And that is what we'll be discussing this morning as we give you a close coverage of the same and as well as set our eyes across the different parts to make sure that we also capture other matters that are of importance for you. At the heart of it, the Supreme Court ruling or the Supreme Court petition that was presented by various stakeholders or various litigants and petitioners presenting as pertaining to what is likely to play out as to the presidential vote. Some of course in favor of what it is that was declared by IEBC Chebukati, that is Moses Kuria, but others presenting their own observations and of course what they think could have made this election not a free and fair process. And therefore, as we take a look at what is happening in Kakamega County as well as Mombasa County, Kacheliba, Rongai and various other spots where we'll be having elections as well in Nairobi, we have one in Embakasi, that is a ward election. We'll definitely be looking forward to hear from you. The hashtag, as always, is Morning Cafe as well as hashtag Kenya Decides. Very, very important that you interact with us as we look forward to hear from you. At TV47 KE is our social media platform across all, the platforms. That is how you get to interact with us. You can as well talk to me on at Linda_Alela at TV47 KE. That is on Twitter. Let's get into doing this business. A beautiful Monday morning as we await the timelines of the Supreme Court to oversee what it is that is the petition presented to them. Of course, this begins tomorrow. Indeed, a clogged aspect for them. And of course, as we look forward to see how then they get to decide. Welcome on board. My name is Linda Alela. Let's keep this rolling. The Daily Nation, the Standard newspaper, as well as the People Daily are the papers that we look at this morning that again inform the basis of our conversation, and equally we'll be looking at some of the stories that have been prepared by my team alongside Dr. David Nyekorach Masanga as well as Dr. Justice Juma, the party leader of Justice and Freedom Party, and not forgetting the Honorable, that is former Nairobi Town Clerk and management guru, that is none other than Philip Kisia, the gentleman that we'll be having this morning to decipher or to help us unpack these events of the day. The Standard newspaper, and of course the biggest story, where lies the truth, is on the Supreme Court battle. And leaders continue trading accusations yesterday on who did what impact the result of the presidential election. And that is the Supreme Court begins hearings this week with the verdict expected to be delivered on this September. And this is a story captured on page 2, 3, 4, 6 and 8. We'll be unpacking that as we look at the events of the weekend that have shaped this conversation. That Tuju Affidavit, of course, the IEBC chairperson as the respondent, as well as allegations that come to the fore as pertaining to what really played out and how the leaders engaged during this electioneering period. Pakistan asked for aid after floods, a story captured on page 29, pretty much unfortunate, and we certainly hope that the world comes in to give a helping hand. And what there'd be in athletics, of course, bag didn't bite, a story captured on page 38 and 39 of the Standard newspapers pertaining to the question of, that is sports, giants fall in Kakamega and Nairobi as county games end. And Hammers pile misery on Gerrard's Villa, that is West Ham, and their first win of the season as Pablo Fornals deflected second half strike gave them victory over Aston Villa and Villa Park. That is yesterday. That is as pertaining to the question of politics that sports, that finds itself on the front page. But also very, very important, how today's elections will tilt power balance. That is, of course, in Kakamega County. One would call it a two-horse race, but we have key three figures: Cyrus Jirongo, Cleophas Malala, as well as Fernandez Baraza. Will be having our reporters Micah Gungo and Violet Awuma to update us as pertaining to what is happening in Kakamega County as vote lines open as early as 6 a.m. That is exactly now, and so we're looking forward to get updates from this very end. And IEBC officials inspect voting, and they indicate that they're all set and security as well beefed up across the different parts of the country that will be going for this election, as also knowing that this specific day has been declared a holiday for them. And so the election of 4 members of parliament for Rongai, that is Kitui Rural, as well as Pokot South and Kacheliba, and also could tilt the scales and help determine which coalition gains the majority at the National Assembly as well. The gubernatorial position, very, very important for Right Honorable Raila Odinga, and equally Deputy President William Ruto's Kenya Kwanza, as they seek to see to it that Kenya Kwanza gets, Cleophas Malala, as well as Emio, looking forward to bring on board Fernandez, that is in Kakamega County. And on the other side, it is none other than Abdul Swamad for Azimio, that is in Mombasa County, and Hassan Omar for Kenya Kwanza. It's Malala versus Baraza and Omar versus Nasir. This is what the Daily Nation says this morning. Raila versus Ruto all over again. Kakamega and Mombasa to go to the polls today to elect their new governors after the postponement of the election 2 weeks ago, and the battle to succeed Oparanya as well as Joho respectively, and has boiled down to Ruto versus Raila affair, as Cleophas Malala of ANC, and that is Kenya Kwanza, and Fernandez Baraza of ODM square it out in the Mulembe bullfighting match, while Hassan Omar of UDM and Abdul Somad Sharif Nasir of ODM duel at the coast. We understand that so far these are the key parties that stand in the country, that is ODM, UDM, as well as ANC. And so we seek to see what plays out. In Mombasa County, we'll be having our very own Joash Onsari, as well as Patronila Goren for the updates from that end. And Decision 2022 IT expert says IEBC system was hacked as affidavits reveal. Art of the goof is what we'll be looking at as the hearings begin, or the proceedings begin this very week, starting from tomorrow, and we'll be following up closely up until that declaration will be made, or the day of the judgment, that is by the Supreme Court judges, as we seek to understand whether Kenyans are going to be treated to another election or it will be a different affair altogether. And so petition here, and of course Affidavit there, press briefing there, and skeletons of this election have finally been revealed. The chaos, disorder, and mess at the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, well, this morning mirrored the literary works of Sir Pelham Grenville. That is one of the most acclaimed English humorists of the British imperial era. Well, but elections are a serious matter. So how did one of the most important institutions in the Republic degenerate into such bedlam? And of course, bedlam, sorry, we'll be looking at that. And can it ever regain its credibility? That is the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. This is captured on page 6 and 7, and therefore we'll be keenly following up to see the events of this. So much articulated here as to this, presidential election. And this is the petition that is presented to court, about 9 petitioners in line with the very same matter. And of course, how the judges will make sure that they conglomerate this to as well capture and, cap the timelines is a question of wait and see. New members of parliament and MCA's house bonuses to cost Kenyans about 10 billion. That is according to the Salaries and Remuneration Commission in a Gazette notice on July the 28th, 2022. This as captured on the back page. And so MCAs, MPs, house packs to cost over 10 million. This is way above the cost of the plenary sitting allowance that was abolished. This is pretty much interesting, and one would want to understand what informs the same. Members of National Assembly and senators are to be paid about 150,000 shillings monthly, as ward representatives pocket about 40,000 And so we'll be looking at that as, of course, we seek to understand whether indeed that action to make sure that they scrap off some allowances was really meant for the goodwill of the people of Kenya or not. The Salaries and Remuneration Commission chairperson, Lynn Mengich, captured them or photographed there. We'll be looking to see the details of the same and why it is that it appears that this will be way more in comparison to what it is that members of parliament and MCAs were getting, initially. And on the question of politics some more, I will keep word on Mudavadi and Wetangula. That is route to tell Western people. If all goes well, the Mulembe nation will produce two of the most powerful men in Ruto's government, the chief cabinet minister and speaker of the National Assembly. This as captured on page 4, and therefore we'll be looking at just how important these positions then would be. So much captured on these papers. We unpack them later alongside the gentlemen that will be joining me. But for now, let's briefly take a look at the stories prepared by my team. And police are investigating the murder of 4 minors in Kikuyu sub-county following the confession of a 15-year-old Form 1 student who claims to have murdered the 4 in a killing spree spread over a span of 1 year. The suspect, who confessed to the murders in front of her parents, her teachers and the police, allegedly murdered 3 of her siblings last year and her 20-month-old cousin on the 16th day of this month. Zainab Mohammed with more.
On the 20th day of August, 15-year-old Brenda Wanjiru, who is a student at Kawetei Girls Secondary School, is reported to have borrowed one of her teacher's phone and called her parents, confessing to the murder of 4 minors, including her 3 siblings and 2-year-old cousin.
Sawa, wakati bro alinipigia simu akaniambia huyu msichana huyu msichana Brenda amemcall akamwambia anko yake ashishinda akitafuta ni nani aliua mtoto, ni yeye aliua mtoto na anajulikana ni yeye. So nikaa alikuwa na hiyo kujishuku, yani nikaa alifanya hivyo. Sasa alikuwa naona kama kuna mtu alimuona yani.
The girl's devastated father then walked to Kikuyu police station and filed a report against the 15-year-old girl whom he accused of killing his 3 children. The juvenile admitted to having committed the murders.
We wish to confirm to you that this office, that is DCI Kikuyu, is investigating a case of serial murder of 4 minors which happened on diverse dates of last year and this year. In the meantime, we wish to confirm to you that we have arrested a key suspect in connection to the murder of the 4 minors.
Her family, who are still in total shock, say the 15-year-old was a good and quiet kid who they would never have expected would be capable of such a heinous act.
Hata tumekaa na yeye miaka 2, mamake akiwa Saudi Arabia. Nilikuwa nakaa na yeye. Na kutoka hapo tabia zake hazikuwa baya.
Alikuwa mtoto mzuri sana. Alipadika baadaye, sijui alipadika kwa nini, hata sijui, hata mimi nasidagu, hata mimi sijui. Sitakai, unaona nyinyi tu nakubali niongoe. Sitakai kusikia mambo ya watoto.
According to the police report, Brenda confessed to have murdered her 2-year-old cousin Martin Kiogora by drowning him, her 1-year-old brother Liam Gichuhi by suffocating him with a pillow over his face, her 5-year-old sister Valeria Mudhoni by strangling her, and her 7-year-old sister Rachel Wanjiru by strangling her for 10 minutes, drowning her before pouring hot water on her face.
Nilikuwa nimesikia watoto wa dadangu waliaga. Na kulingana na venye waliaga, the same thing ndio ili happen hapa. Juu alikuwa nakiri jana aliua watoto wao venye aliua mtoto wetu.
Mimi mtoto tumeishi na yeye vizuri sana, hata uweze jua kama si wa huku. Ni mtoto wa sister yangu, sister in law, lakini nambebanga kama mtoto wangu venye naweza beba watoto wangu. Ikifika hapo mtu anakuulia mtoto, iko na haja gani umbebe tena kama mtoto wako? Huyo ni kama mnyama.
Police investigation is currently ongoing, with the suspect expected to be arraigned at Kiambu High Court on Monday morning. Zainab Mohammed, T47.
All right, to another sad one. Grief has struck residents of Kajiado village in Marmament of Laikipia County after a man aged 27 years was stabbed to death, allegedly by a friend. It was reported that John Kipto was stabbed several times with a kitchen knife by the suspect. The two were in the company of other people as Bierden or at a Bierden when they picked a quarrel, and later the elderly man went for the knife and stabbed the young man several times. Residents claim the deceased bled profusely and as a result succumbed to the injuries.
Mimi naitwa Mary Sherono Kurui, na hiyo ni mtoto yangu ameuawa, na hiyo ni kitinda mimba, na ni pombe imejaa area hii, na hata chibu tumeambia yeye, hata mzee Aitora tunaambia na hapana sikia, na tumeletewa askari maiti, ni kama amekufa na ni askari, na si askari, hata wanakunywa pombe, hata nilikuta asubuhi wakikunywa pombe. Sasa mtoto yangu inakufa kama umbwa.
Kuja chama kingine anaenda kwa sarika. Kukuja unakuta sarika amekufa kwa tumerudi. Kwenda kuuliza Roja, "Umeua mzee?" Ndio hii kisu. Akasokota kirai kwa. Inakoba tu hiyo na yeye mzee ni adari sasa anaua mimi. Sikuwa na kirai kwa
Ongea kidadi, ongea
Akasema ndio ni mimi. Ndio hii kisu, akatoa kisu kwa hapa akaonesha iko na tamu. Akaendelea kusokota kirai kwa. Tumagoba ende paka mahali mzee kwa tumerudi nyuma.
Hali ya hii pombe iishe. Ndio hii pombe iishe. Wamama wamekataa na wamekataa siku ya leo. Hatutaki pombe tena katika hii kijiji. Hata sisi tutajikushukulia sheria mkononi akiwa tupa.
Well, it is a sigh of relief for the residents of Mulembe village in the Saboti constituency area of Trans Nzoia County. This follows the construction of a water supply project in the area. The project supplies water through the water pipes to residents' homesteads, and the locals have been missing clean and safe drinking water for years. Our reporter Boniface Baraza visited the area and prepared the following report.
It is here in Mulembe village, Saboti constituency, Trans Nzoia County, where one is welcomed by the sight of water flowing on the stream. What is least known is that the water is purified by machines installed in the area before it is distributed through water pipes to homesteads. The purifying machine uses modern technology that is friendly to the environment.
This technology is very simple and cost-effective and environmentally friendly because it uses green energy.
Agri Chemonges, an environmental expert, says if the leadership that succeeded the first governor of Trans Nzoia, Patrick Haemba, will consider the use of this technology, then the issue of water shortage may be forgotten in the days to come.
Inaweza kutuchukua kama miaka 4 kila boma iwe na maji ya mfereji kama hii. Tukitumia hii teknolojia is going to serve 5,000 people, about 1,000 households.
Locals welcomed the project and said it has relieved them of the stress of traveling for long distances in search of the rare commodity.
Wametuletea maji kwa milango, tutaoga, nywele itakuwa mzuri. Ilikuwa imeisha kwa sababu ya kubeba maji. Unafikiria ni mama msee, kumbe ni ngali tu bado.
Maji tulikuwa tunatoa mbali. Mama kama mimi mkongwe hivi, natoka na mlima mpaka nyumbani.
Ukweli tulikuwa tunatumia maji chafu sana. Kwanza kama sisi watu wa huku chini, tumekuwa na shida sana ya magonjwa. Typhoid ilikuwa inatusumbua, tumba zilikuwa zinatusumbua.
Tumekuwa na shida ya maji, tukihangaika mara kwa mara. Mvua sawa inaponyesha, tunatumia maji chafu. Lakini tunashukuru.
More than 1,000 families have benefited from the water project.
The completion of the project brings a sigh of relief to the locals here who have been enduring suffering
in search of water,
which is a necessity in their life. Boniface Baraza, TV47, Mulembe location, Kinyoro Ward, Saboti constituency, Trans Nzoia County.
And from Trans Nzoia County to Nakuru County, all is set for polls today in 8 elective seats that were postponed by the IEBC. The 8 include Kakamega and Mombasa gubernatorial election, parliamentary races in Rongai, Nakuru County, Kitui Rural in Kitui County, Kacheliba and Pokot South. Chichi Josephine reports on the preparations in these areas, but most importantly on what is happening on this very D-Day.
Yeah, Linda, a very good morning to you. And I'm currently at Kiamuni Mixed Secondary School, where it is a polling station right now. And remember, it is in Rongai constituency. Last time we saw that, or earlier, these particular elections for this particular sub-county, or rather constituency, was suspended by the IEBC following the mixed-up that happened, of course, missing of ballot boxes. And therefore, as you can see, the turn-up right today is as low as you can see. People have not yet turned up as expected earlier. Of course, these are the number of voters that have turned up for this particular election. And understand this particular election, or rather in Rongai constituency, we have different polling stations, of which we have 197 polling stations in this particular sub-county, or rather a constituency that is in Rongai constituency. And understand we have a total of a registered number of voters to be, of course, 82,526 registered voters. And of course, the hotly contested position for the parliamentary position is contested by 3 candidates. Of course, the incumbent member of parliament, that is Raymond Moi, who is making a third stab in the KANU party. And also we have Luka Kigen of the CCM party. We also have former MCA Paul Chebor, Elias Mamba of the UDA party. And of course, we expect a stiff competition between the two, that is the former MCA Paul Chebor of the UDA party and the incumbent member of parliament of Rongai constituency, that is of course Raymond Moi. And therefore understand that we shall be moving from this particular polling station to another polling station. And in this particular polling station we have 6 streams. In stream 1 we have, or rather in stream 2 we have 589 voters. In stream 2 we have the same number, that is 589 voters. Stream 3 we have the same number, that is 589 voters here in this particular, of course, polling station. Like I have told you, Linda, is that we will be traversing to different polling stations in this particular constituency. Understand that, like I've told you, the incumbent member of parliament, that is Raymond Moi, is making his third stab, and of course competing, or rather facing off with his competitor, that is Paul Chebor, who is the former MCA, and of course Elias Mamba, who is also in the UDA party. And understand that in this particular sub-county, we saw that last time after the suspension of the elections, we saw youth protesting, of course barricading roads, and of course making noise out here, of course, for the suspension, following the suspension of the elections that was suspended earlier on 9th August of 2022. And therefore, just to tell you is that, like I've told you, I'll be able to talk to the constituency returning officer, who I will be able to catch up with her later in the day, and we shall be able to, of course, bring to tabs our viewers to what will be unfolding here in this particular constituency. From here, Linda, I will be headed to Masingeri polling stations, where we expect that the incumbent member of parliament, that is Raymond Moi, will be, of course, or rather coming in to vote. And understand, like I've told you, he is one of the candidates who is watchfully, or rather closely watched, and of course making his third stab in this particular sub-county, or rather this constituency. Over to you, Linda. My name is Chichi Josephine.
Well, thank you so much, Chichi Josephine. Pretty much early, and the systems go, as I have said, as pertaining to these elections that were postponed twice. And at this very moment, then we're looking forward to see how the people of these specific areas will be going to vote and cast very, very important votes to elect their governors, if not governors, then members of parliament, and as well members of county assembly. So we cross over to Mombasa County. Our very own Joash Onsare on standby to keep us up to tabs. It's pretty much bright down there in comparison to what is happening in Nakuru County. Joash Onsare, if you can hear me, hujambo?
Jambo Linda Alela, tunakujia mubashara kutoka eneo bunge la Mvita kwenye kaunti hii ya Mombasa, whereby we are keeping tabs on what is happening from the Mombasa County concerning the governor's seat after the postponement of this particular election twice. It was to happen on 9th of August and also on 23rd, but it was postponed, and now the election has already started here. We are at Mvita constituency in Marycliff polling center, whereby the exercise already started, and as you can see, the residents here have come in numbers to start voting, and we can be able to see them here at the polling center queuing and also giving us the details. And giving you the details from Mombasa is that this particular county has at least 600,000 voters, and also in this particular constituency, which is Mvita, this constituency has 118,974 voters, and we'll be keeping you updated on what is happening from Mombasa County as far as this seat, that is the governor's seat, is concerned, and we'll be touring other areas to see what will be happening. As my camera person will show you, the exercise is on, and we can be able to see the residents or the voters are queuing so that they can be able to participate in this democratic right, so that they can be able to elect their leaders, and that is the governor's position. So Linda, that is what you're getting from here in Mvita constituency, and we'll be going to other constituencies. We have Kisauni constituency, we have Nyali constituency, Likoni, Changamwe, Jomvu, and the total number of registered voters according to the IEBC register, the updated one of 2022, is 640,904 voters. So Linda will be giving you updates on what is happening from Mombasa County as time goes, because in it's 30 minutes after this polling station was opened. So Linda, back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Joash Onsari, for the update. Indeed, 30 minutes past the top of the hour, 6 a.m., where all polling stations were supposed to open officially, and such is what we have seen from Nakuru County, that is Rongai constituency, as well as in Mvita, that is where we're expecting the Honorable Abdul Somad to proceed and cast his vote. From being Member of Parliament of this particular area, he seeks the gubernatorial bid to serve the people of Mombasa County, and therefore we'll be looping in others, that is the correspondence that we have across the different parts of the spaces where we're having these votes casted, just so we get more updates. And so we'll be coming to you later on, Joash, for more updates. But away from it, the Catholic Church bishops in Western Kenya have asked the Supreme Court judges, that is, to deliver a free and fair judgment on the ongoing petition that is filed by Azimio la Umoja party leader Raila Odinga and other Kenyans challenging the presidential results, which saw the Independent Commission IEBC declare the Kenya Kwanza presidential candidate William Ruto president-elect, led by the Bishop Joseph Obanyi. That is, leaders also asked Kenyans to remain calm as they wait for the judgment on 5th of September 2022. Bishop Obanyi also asked those who will be voting on Monday, that is today, in Mombasa and Kakamega to choose wisely to avoid regrets in future.
We pray and hope that the courts will show respect to those who have filed petitions by judiciously listening to the cases and making verdicts that are just to the parties involved. Secondly, about the Supreme Court ruling. Dear Kenyans, as we all know, the presidential election result is disputed and now being handled at the Supreme Court level. We, the Catholic bishops, wish to thank the petitioners for recognizing and laying faith in our Supreme Court. The act of going to court strengthens belief in our institutions to solve cases. We assure the Supreme Court of our prayers for wisdom in its judgment. We would like to categorically state that the Supreme Court, like any other public institutions, has a code of conduct guiding its actions. Kenyans are looking up to it for both peace and justice.
All right, President-elect William Ruto has expressed confidence in the Supreme Court in the much-awaited hearing and ruling on the presidential petition. Ruto spoke in Bungoma, where he also confirmed that Bungoma Senator Moses Wetangula is headed to the National Assembly as a speaker. This story was produced by Wanji Sustain.
President-elect William Ruto and Kenya Kwanza leaders held a Thanksgiving Mass at Christ the King Cathedral Catholic Church in Bungoma County Sunday. Ruto's inauguration ceremony, which will be determined by the Supreme Court's decision on presidential election petition, is still a matter of wait and see. The leaders are, however, optimistic that the court will rule in their favor, urging Kenyans to remain calm.
We have spoken a new language. Bribery, intimidation, blackmail did not sway the voters. Bribery, intimidation, blackmail did not sway IEBC. We are confident that blackmail, bribery, intimidation will not sway our courts.
We would like to ask all these officers who are retiring with President Uhuru Kenyatta to stop living in denial. The election is over. William Ruto is the President of the Republic of Kenya. Senor, stop wasting your time scheming. Day and night you are not sleeping.
We will make our positive contribution to ensure that the country remains peaceful, remains tranquil, and awaits your being sworn in as the 5th President of the Republic of Kenya. I can tell Kenyans for free, as a senior lawyer in this country, that I've read through those documents and they're just a pile of nothing.
People may look down upon you, but I can assure you from this pulpit, the God that you have been praying is a real God, and God will stand by you. Mungu atasimama na wewe, Mungu atakupigania.
Following the rift among the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission commissioners, the leaders stated their satisfaction on 2022 free, fair and transparent election. They say the IEBC chairman Wafula Chebukati stood firm on commission's independency despite intimidations.
Yale mambo Chebukati amepitia, ile hongo amehaidiwa, ile vitisho amepatiwa na amekataa na akasimama imara. Chebukati ameweka kiwango mpya ya wafanyikazi wote wa serikali katika taifa letu la Kenya.
He deserves our prayers, he deserves our accolades, because had he wavered, had he not stood firm, there were those who are hell-bent on snatching the victory of William Samoei Ruto from him through unorthodox methods.
President-elect, however, urged Bungoma residents to allow Senator-elect Moses Wetangula to National Assembly as the Speaker and ANC boss Musalia Mudavadi will be appointed to supervise cabinet affair as a chief minister. Lobbying is already ongoing to fill various House leadership positions as well as cabinet positions if the court upholds Kenya Kwanza's win.
Nawashukuru sana, mulitupatia kura ya MCA, mukatupatia kura ya wabunge, mukatupatia kura ya Papa wa Roma,
All right, Azimio la Umoja Executive Director Raphael Tuju now says IEBC Chairperson Wafula Chebukati had called him to a secret meeting, but he refuses to divulge what to tell us what it is that was discussed. And Tuju claims accusations from Chebukati that he tried to lure him with money to change presidential results were false, as Sharon Baranga reports.
Sunday afternoon, the executive director of Azimio la Umoja, Raphael Tuju, was ready to respond to an affidavit from IEBC's chairman Wafula Chebukati. Tuju claims that accusations that he tried to pay Chebukati for him to skew the presidential results in favor of Raila Odinga were unfounded.
He has made claims of what I said when 10 of us were in that room. All the commissioners were in that room, and Mr. Amos Wako was in that room, and another lawyer, I don't know his name, Bonduo, whoever he is. So there are 10 of us in that room. For him to claim that I made some offers to him in front of those 10 is a tara diddle. Is a tara diddle. Petty lie. So I think those 10 others should be able to corroborate his story.
Tuju also says that he had tried to reach out to Chebukati numerous times when he had received information of how Form 34As were being swapped from the Commission's portal, and that this issue was what made him to go to Bomas of Kenya at around 4 a.m.
I'd received intelligence from one of the IEBC officials who complained that some Form 34A were being brought down and they were being replaced by other Form 34A. He was not able to know exactly the location from which this was happening, but he brought it to me once, first time, and I reported this to the DCI, who dispatched officers to have an interview with this person. This gentleman was so terrified, and he actually mentioned the case that he had been threatened by Mr. Majan when he brought it up with him, that he should not play with him, he'll know who Mr. Majan is. Coming from the memory of Musandu, I've never seen a more scared young man. He did take it up with one of his seniors, and the seniors, to corroborate the story, also told me, yes, he had received, the senior had received the report, and there was absolutely nothing they could do unless I talk with the chairman himself.
Meanwhile, Tuju wants Commissioners Abdi Gulie and Molu Boya to explain why they visited his home.
I want Mr. Gulie, or Professor Gulie, and Mr. Molu to explain what they came to do in my house. What was that discussion about? And the drift of that discussion was more of auctioneers rather than commissioners. I want them to say they never came to my house. I will make the CCTV cameras available at my house so that those can be investigated by the DCI, whether I'm saying the truth or not. Because to my house, they came. Yeah? Who initiated the secret meeting between me and Chebukati? It was Chebukati himself.
Sharon Baranga, TV 47.
And another top IEBC official, the Director of Voter Registration and Electoral Operations, Moses Ladama Sunkuli, has come to the defense of Commission Chairperson Wafula Chebukati, saying the election process was above board. Sunkuli, in his affidavit opposing the Azimio presidential candidate Raila Odinga's petition, says all Form 34As were collated as announced by presiding officers at the polling stations, while explaining why votes for the presidential election were higher than the others. Apollo Kamau reports on a divided commission ahead of the Supreme Court battle this week.
So, is it a unanimous decision by the Commission?
On a weekend, IEBC officials laid bare their differences and where their interest lay in the August 9 poll and what precipitated the bitter fallout. It's now clear that the Commission will be heading to court divided. IEBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati, Commissioners Bolu Moya, Abdi Gulie, and Chief Executive Officer Hussein Marjani on one hand, against Vice Chair Juliana Cherera, Justus Nyang'aya, Irene Masit, and Francis Wanderi, setting the stage for a vicious legal contest that will see the election upheld or nullified. The latest affidavit by IEBC's Acting Director of Voter Registration and Electoral Operations, Moses Sunkuli, debunks Azimio presidential candidate Raila Odinga's claims that Chebukati manipulated Form 34As, saying the forms were collated as received from presiding officers. A different scenario is painted by the 4 dissenting commissioners, led by Vice Chair Juliana Cherera, who say Chebukati acted alone in the verification and tallying of results. Commissioner Justus Nyang'aya, in his affidavit, says a foreigner, Gudino Omor, and 3 IEBC staff deleted some presidential results and uploaded others to the server, saying 372 people had access to the server. Vice Chair Cherera, in her affidavit, accused Chebukati of secretly printing a second set of Form 34As, a matter she claims to have discovered with fellow Commissioner Francis Wanderi during the printing of ballot papers in Greece. Chebukati, in his affidavit, however, names Commissioners Masit and Wanderi for pushing for a rerun, with Cherera proposing the removal of 233,211 votes from President-elect William Ruto's votes, a position Chebukati terms as prearranged consensus between the 4 commissioners. Supporting Chebukati, Commissioner Abdi Gulie, listed as the 4th respondent in the petition, names Raphael Tuju and former Attorney General Amos Wako, piling pressure on the Commission to manipulate results in favor of Odinga. Apol Kamau, TV47.
Azimio la Umoja presidential flag bearer Raila Odinga has said he is only after the truth following his move of filing a petition in the Supreme Court in protest of the presidential results announced by the IEBC chairperson Wafula Chebukati. The results declared Deputy President William Ruto as the president-elect in the recently concluded general election. T47's Moige William with that.
In his first public appearance in Kibera after IEBC announced William Ruto as president-elect, Raila Odinga, together with a section of Azimio leaders, attended a church service at AIC Church Kibera. When given the opportunity to address the congregation, Odinga took the opportunity to tell his supporters to maintain peace during the time when the Supreme Court will be holding proceedings as litigants take on each other during the presidential election petition, in which Raila has asked the court to annul President-elect William Ruto's victory.
What I'm asking for as Raila Amolo Odinga is to be told the truth. And this is not just because of the elections of 2022. It's for posterity. We don't want to go into an election and see the kind of charade that we're seeing today. Mr. Chebukati, the chest stamping the other side with his 2 other commissioners, and then the other 4 commissioners this other side. It's a shame. Shame to democracy. Shame to the world.
Odinga saying that he will accept the verdict that will be issued by the 7-judge bench sitting at the Supreme Court led by Chief Justice Martha Koome. Odinga adding that it is the truth that he is after.
Tunaomba mahakama ifanye haki ili haki ijulikane. Mimi Raila Odinga siogopi. Kama nilishinda nitasema nimeshindwa. Kama nilishinda nitasema nimeshindwa. Na nitarudi nyumbani. Lakini ukweli uko wapi?
After attending the church service, a number of leaders allied to the Azimio coalition proceeded to Kamukonji grounds in Kibera, where they conducted a public rally calling on residents to maintain peace.
Tungoje matokeo ya Supreme Court. Na siku hiyo ambayo Supreme Court itasema maneno vile itasema, mimi ninasikia tu vile watasema. Wakisema vile mimi nasikia watasema.
Tunaheshimu mahakama, tunaheshimu uamuzi, lakini tunataka haki itendeke, si ndio?
The DCI should move in with speed and carry out investigations on Bwana Chebukati. If you go to the penal code, Bwana TJ.
And in his visit here in Kibera, Raila Odinga stating he will accept the verdict that will be delivered by the Supreme Court of Kenya, urging his supporters to remain calm as the legal process continues. Moige William, TV47 from Kibera, Nairobi.
And all is set for polls in 8 elective seats that were postponed by the IEBC. The 8 include Kakamega and Mombasa gubernatorial election, parliamentary races in Rongai, Nakuru County, and Kitui Rural in Kitui County, Kacheliba and Pokot South.
The election for the gubernatorial post in Mombasa and Kakamega counties that was suspended are set for Monday. According to Nyali returning officer John Ole Taiswa, everything is in place and distribution of voting materials done in all 6 constituencies.
Tayari tumejiandaa, tumemaliza maandalizi yote. Sasa tunaanza kujipanga tu our presiding officers na deputy presiding officers waanze kwenda field pamoja na security officers. So mpangilio yote ziko tumemalizwa.
Also in the list are parliamentary election in Kitui Rural, Kacheliba and Pokot South constituencies, both in West Pokot County, and Rungai constituency in Nakuru County. In Kacheliba and Pokot South constituencies, voting materials have been distributed to their respective polling stations as expectations of voter turnout remain a concern.
Tuna anticipate kwamba watu watakuja, voter turnout itakuwa mzuri, whether si mbaya sana, whether isipokuwa mbaya, yani kunyesha saa zingine unajua inasumbua turnout, lakini tuna uhakika kwamba watu watatokea. Wanasiasa the candidates wamehamasisha raia watokee, na sisi pia tunajitayarisha.
In Kitui Rural constituency, voting materials have been distributed to their respective polling stations and security beefed up to ensure smooth running of the exercise, according to returning officer Winfred Ndote.
We are distributing materials for the upcoming elections, which will be tomorrow. The polling stations will be open from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. So we are ensuring that we have distributed all the materials. We will be done by 5 p.m. so that they can proceed to the polling stations.
844,709 voters in Kakamega County are expected to participate in the election to elect their second governor after the outgoing governor Wycliffe Oparanya served for 2 constitutional terms. According to Kakamega IEBC Chief Officer Joseph Ayata, all is set for the day as the voting exercise is expected to commence early in the morning.
We expect to finish this exercise as early as possible, and it also will depend with how fast the constituencies will tally their Form Bs and how fast they will come to the tallying center before we transfer them to Form Cs before I announce the results. So maybe from midnight we expect maybe the first constituencies to arrive at the tallying center.
In Nakuru County, Rungai constituency, 82,526 voters are expected to participate in the election to choose their next member of parliament, a position that has attracted 3 candidates: Raymond Moi of the KANU party, Luka Kigen of CCM party, and Paul Chebor of the UDA party. Chichi Josephine, TV 47.
All right, we take a quick short break. Remember, we'll be following up on the events of these specific areas that are going for the election today, and most importantly, engaging the gentleman that I'll have on set in a bit. So don't go anywhere.
Despite being visually impaired, he is a jack of all trades. Here's our quest to find answers on how to take care of children with special needs and those with disability. You do not need to see musical notes to understand music, but rather to have your soul feel the vibe.
Actually, for us to make a wheelchair, we have to take measurements of the user.
After doing my assessment, I get to know the parent, I get to know the heaviness she's carrying.
Disability comes at different stages of life.
How well do you know what's happening around you?
Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga,
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. The next set of millionaires are farmers. As we know, agriculture has been and still is the backbone of our economy. As we traverse the different counties to meet different farmers, we ensure to get the story of how they started farming and even how they continue to penetrate the market and overcome the challenges.
Hapa, the reason why nilieka goose na si ducks. Goose, they are very easy to maintain.
A lot of farmers keep on calling, inquiring whether you're supposed to raise some seeds in the nursery or you're supposed to do them directly in the field.
The greenhouse helps us control the temperature because the temperature needs to be between 28 to 32 degrees.
Walk this journey with us every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. It's no secret, construction ain't cheap. But how do we make it affordable? Different individuals are finding ways of cutting down cost by use of pre-stressed slabs other than reinforced concrete, recycling plastics to make pavers.
The brick is stronger, it's cheaper, and it's lighter.
And recycling wastewater in your household.
What happens to my waste from the washroom, the solid waste? All that can break down.
Those are just but a few. Every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. we talk construction.
There's no alpha without an omega. There's no lead without any followers. No man is an island. We need each other. We need this conference.
We say it, we do it, we act it.
Kama una mpenzi wako, kila siku kama walivyosema, kila siku mwishi mapenzi.
We don't toe the line, we set the standard. We don't eat the grass, we lead the pack.
As an alpha male, you're also a leader. Not just women, friends and family, but to everyone else you've never met before.
We are the beauty, the spice and the brains. The men's conference where men become alpha males.
And you can catch us every Wednesday at 10 p.m. This
School of Medical Health. Despite being visually impaired, he is a jack of all trades. It is our quest to find answers on how to take care of children with special needs and those with disability. You do not need to see musical notes to understand music, but rather to have your soul feel the vibe.
For us to make a wheelchair, we have to take measurements of the user.
After doing my assessment, I get to know the parent, I get to know the heaviness she's carrying.
Disability comes at different stages of life.
How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga,
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. The next set of millionaires are farmers. As we know, agriculture has been and still is the backbone of our economy. As we traverse the different counties to meet different farmers, we ensure to get the story of how they started farming and even how they continue to penetrate the market and overcome the challenges.
Hapa, the reason why niliweka goose na si ducks.
Despite being visually impaired, he is a jack of all trades. It is our quest to find answers on how to take care of children with special needs and those with disability. You do not need to see musical notes to understand music, but rather to have your soul feel the vibe.
Actually, for us to make a wheelchair, we have to take measurements of the user.
After doing my assessment, I get to know the parent, I get to know the heaviness she's carrying.
Disability comes at different stages of life.
For the Mandela Washington Fellowship Program.
Despite being visually impaired, he is a jack of all trades. It is our quest to find answers on how to take care of children with special needs and those with disability. You do not need to see musical notes to understand music, but rather to have your soul feel the vibe.
Actually, for us to make a wheelchair, we have to take measurements of the user.
After doing my assessment, I get to know the parent, I get to know the heaviness she's carrying.
Disability comes at different stages of life.
Averagely 5 times, and
despite being visually impaired, he is a jack of all trades. It is our quest to find answers on how to take care of children with special needs and those with disability. You do not need to see musical notes to understand music, but rather to have your soul feel the vibe.
Actually, for us to make a wheelchair, we have to take measurements of the user.
After doing my assessment, I get to know the parent, I get to know the heaviness she's carrying.
Disability comes at different stages of life.
How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga.
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. The next set of millionaires are farmers. As we know, agriculture has been and still is the backbone of our economy. As we traverse the different counties to meet different farmers, we ensure to get the story of how they started farming and even how they continue to penetrate the market and overcome the challenges.
Hapa, the reason why niliweka goose na si ducks. Goose, they are very easy to maintain.
A lot of farmers keep on calling, inquiring whether you're supposed to raise some seeds in the nursery or you're supposed to do them directly in the field.
The greenhouse helps us control the temperature because the temperature needs to be between 28 to 32 degrees.
Walk this journey with us every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. It's no secret, construction ain't cheap. But how do we make it affordable? Different individuals are finding ways of cutting down cost by use of pre-stressed slabs other than reinforced concrete, recycling plastics to make pavers.
The brick is stronger, it's cheaper, and it's lighter.
And recycling wastewater in your household.
What happens to my waste from the washroom, the solid waste? All that can break down.
Those are just but a few. Every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. we talk construction.
There's no alpha without an omega. There's no lead without any followers. No man is an island. We need each other. We need this conference.
We say it, we do it, we act it.
Kama una mpenzi wako, kila siku kama nilivyosema, kila siku mwishi mapenzi.
We don't toe the line, we set the standard. We don't eat the grass, we lead the pack.
All right, welcome on board. Yes, we're already having this conversation. Dr. David Nyekorach Masanga, Chair Pan-African Forum, and we also have governance, management and leadership expert, as well as former town clerk of Nairobi, Honorable Philip Kisia, for this very important conversation this morning. In a bit, also Dr. Justice Juma of Justice and Freedom Party will be joining us for the very same. We take a look at the events of what is happening in Kakamega, as well as Mombasa County and the other constituencies that will be going to, elect their very own leaders, as well as county assemblies, that is wards, specific wards that really did not manage to go for this very election, as postponed by the IEBC twice. The other one was supposed to be handled on the 23rd, but then again that postponement that got us to the 29th, and we have our correspondents across the different parts of these regions to keep us up to tabs. We've already spoken to Chichi Josephine, that is in Nakuru, that is Rongai constituency, as well as Joash Onsare, who's representing us at the coast, alongside Patronila Goren. And also in Kakamega County, we'll be having Micah Gongo, as well as Violet Auma, for updates and so much more. And therefore, you can trust us to disseminate this as and when they get to hit the editorial desk. Welcome on board once again. It's time that the gentlemen then join us. Also, we do not run away from the conversation of the Supreme Court, looking at the timelines. Well, the hearings begin, and we all are keen to see what will be the declaration, what will be the final judgment that is from the Supreme Court. We understand that this would either take us to another election, or, depending on what it is that the Supreme Court judges then will declare upon tallying or retallying, then perhaps there's an opening of that direct declaration of who is going to be the winner. If it is Right Honorable Raila Odinga, who's lucky enough to see his petition see the light of day, then of course that declaration, there's a window that provides for the same according to the Elections Act. And so this is what we discuss, looking at the events of the weekend. So much more, gentlemen, in terms of the revelations, in terms of affidavits, and what has been revealed by numerous figures that are party to this process of the election. And it is quite damning to look at some of these, revelations that are coming aboard. But then again, very instrumental in terms of creating fodder for the very case. Philip Kisia, your chance to say jambo to the people as we get to the conversation.
Well, thank you, viewers, and thank you, Linda, for having us this beautiful Monday morning.
It's a pleasure.
A lot has taken place, including receiving advice from our brothers in South Africa on how we should conduct ourselves.
Yes.
I'll be commenting on it a bit later.
Yeah.
But here we are. We're Kenyans.
Mm-hmm.
We're happy to be here. We've been peaceful, and I see nothing. I only see honey, milk, in the future.
Is it?
For this country. Yes.
All right, how we cross fingers that it will be that. It speaks of our brothers from South Africa, and it reminds me of the fears that the East African community has also, you know, showcased and presented. They say in as much as, yes, we have a president-elect, and that we appear to exhibit some essence of confidence in terms of how the country is managing and how it would manage. They still are skeptical as to the stability and, you know, the integration aspect of East Africa. And therefore, I think it's only proper that the East African community, as well as the African, you know, community at large, to come out and weigh in on this matter. They really would want Kenya a peaceful one.
First of all, thank you very much. I joined my friend to say, I don't know what South African, is it Malema?
It is Malema. It is Malema.
No,
we will get to that.
I have already answered Malema, so you can play my clip for Malema, which I answered Malema. Yes, Malema is an opportunist. He picks money from the whites and shouts during daytime to the blacks.
Is it? And how?
Yes, he doesn't.
Yeah.
He can't produce the record as to where he gets money to run the party. Therefore, we have intelligence reports from even South African intelligence system. We know what he does. So for him, he can shout down there, but the stability of Kenya is modeled on the East African level. The East Africans are patient. You know, we don't kill other blacks.
Well, yes.
Yes, we don't kill other blacks. Kenya hosts almost everybody on this continent. If you go to Kenya, to the camps of Kakuma, if you go to the camps of the Bab, you will find the Matangas, very many of them. So, but in South Africa, the Malemas target us, Mozambicans, Kenyans. The only group that South Africans don't touch are Ugandans. But the rest of the Africa, Cameroonians, Nigerians are slaughtered. Somalis are being beaten. Their shops are being small shops. They are very enterprising people, Somali people, you see.
Yes, they are.
When they reach there, they build a business. So, Linda, don't bring Malema speak here.
I was almost asking for it to be played, but we all are privy to what he says about the Right Honorable Rhino.
Everybody knows.
Yes.
I wouldn't like to listen to Malema. I would like to listen to very decent South Africans. Malema is not decent. And therefore, let him liberate his mind first. We liberated him. Let him liberate himself.
These are the young brains of Africa.
Yeah, what younger brains?
I think
we've already gotten into it. Let's just get into it.
Let me finish my point. East Africa, Kenya is stable.
Yes.
It will be stable. The system here will be milk and honey. I concur with him. I don't think he's going to oppose me on that. It's milk and honey. Things are coming.
Yes.
This is a stable state, yes. And that's why everybody in Africa is fighting to maintain a stable state, not to hand it over to mafia. Don't hand it to mafia. This is a good state called Kenya.
The choice of the people you would declare. What do you mean? What do you mean, Dr. Masanga, when you say don't hand it over to mafia?
Look, if you have not come to Kenya, you have not come to Africa. Show me. Go and do the sampling of all the planes leaving. And then they arrive at Heathrow Airport. You tell them, where have you been? You want to tell, no, I was near Tanzania, but I went to Mombasa. They have to drop in Kenya in order to say, we have arrived in Africa.
Hold that, yeah?
This is a state that we cannot hand over to mafia to run a state or the mafia dome of Italy, Sicily, and then we say we are handing over, you are giving.
What do you mean when you say that, Dr. Masanga? We understand what it takes for us to get individuals to power. And therefore, as per the Constitution, on the 9th of August, we've gone for a vote. Before we get deep into that, when you say that we cannot hand this over to mafias, then we'd love to understand. We'd love for you to elaborate further what it is.
Can I tell you where the mafia...
Not before we have Philip where at least weigh in on the Malema matter. And Malema is acting African, Pan-Africanist, acknowledging the fact that we need a sober Africa. We need a sober country. We understand very well that when one country coughs, the other will catch the flu.
Linda, yes, it's good to think and to think out of the box, and he's a Pan-Africanist, as he claims. But I think he played above his pay grade. It's above his pay grade.
Okay.
If we have people who can comment on issues affecting Africa, he is not one of them.
Malema cannot?
He is not one of them. I can tell you for free, he is not one of them.
You understand how strong South Africa is a democracy?
No.
And the fact that...
No, please.
Okay.
This is the wrong chap to comment on issues affecting the continent. Let him confine himself to that party of his called EFF, whatever it is. Okay? But this is certainly above his pay grade. And the person he's commenting of is completely not in league. This is a man who is playing a Premier League and is in Division 2 or Division 3. Okay? So let me also remind him that this Kenya has been peaceful for the last 59 years, except when we had a small challenge in 2007. We've been very peaceful. It's a cradle of peace. You know, it is a country that everybody would want to be. When you talk about Africa, you talk about Kenya. There is no Africa without Kenya. Kenya has progressed. Kenya has been very peaceful. And let me remind him that Kenya is sovereign, is a sovereign state. While we comment, while we appreciate contributions from other neighboring countries, so that we can grow together as Africa, as one Africa nation, and a nation called Africa, we do not want people to interfere in internal matters of this country. We have brains in Kenya, big brains, bigger than we have in any other African country. And that's what I can tell you for free.
How internal? How internal, Senior?
No, this is internal. This is a matter affecting Kenya. As and when we need interventions from other African states, we have statesmen in Africa that we can consult. He is not one of them.
Dr. Masanga,
And then also, to back my senior brother here, to back him. South Africa is a good country. My daughter studies South Africa. Okay? So it's a good country. It's part of Africa. But it's a bad example to use. Because in Kenya, for 59 years, we've welcomed our neighbors, Ugandans, Sudanese, even South Africans, Congolese, Nigerians. We've welcomed everybody.
They are here.
Okay? And we've not slaughtered our Africans.
Somalis
we've not slaughtered even the whites.
The single African.
Even the whites who, took us through hell in the periods before pre-independence. We are living with them peacefully. And therefore, it's like comparing chalk to cheese. Kenya is a cradle of peace. Yeah? Let's Malema deal with the issue of fellow South Africans slaughtering other Africans.
Gentlemen.
Like chicken.
Gentlemen, let's not hit hard. Let's not hit hard,
let us move on. We are wasting time discussing this boy called Malema. We have better things to discuss.
Just hold it. We will not discuss Malema, but we'll expound it further.
Can I make one point?
Please.
Malema is the main cause of South African troubles. Malema overthrows governments.
Does he?
Yes, Malema overthrew Thabo Mbeki. You remember the youth who moved a motion in ANC to overthrow Thabo Mbeki, used by Zuma. Malema overthrew Zuma, used by Ramaphosa. Now Malema is on Ramaphosa, used by somebody. Who uses Malema?
Just who uses
I want your research.
Without looking at Malema like you rightfully
who uses him? Why does he overthrow governments every time, revolutionary people?
And therefore
he's on pay. He's paid by George Soros.
To remind Kenyans that there is need for us to be peaceful.
He's paid by George Soros.
Dr. Masanga, hold it.
Supremacists.
All right,
come and destroy Africa.
We're coming back to that. We are coming to that. And we go beyond Malema. We go beyond Malema. But first, allow us to go to...
small little boy.
Yes,
okay. And that's why I said we go beyond Malema. We come to the African aspect. But first, let's listen to what is happening.
At the moment wanting to overthrow Mnangagwa using G40. We shall get him. Let him know, my friend, the African people, veterans like us, we are not going to take any mess.
But Dr. Masanga, if you speak about Zimbabwe, you speak about South Africa, you speak about, you know, Nigeria, you speak about DR Congo, what is wrong with Malema speaking about Kenya?
I have no problem.
Okay, hold it right there. Let's cross over. Let's cross over.
Why go and overthrow,
allow us
go and overthrow people in,
does he? You need
Tanzania?
You see, these ones need to
He's
be factual.
trying to tell us that Raila should shut up.
Dr. Masanga,
Who
Dr.
is he
Masanga.
to tell Raila to shut up?
All right, okay. Let's cross over to, you know, let's not forget that we also have elections ongoing in different parts of the country. And we have correspondents. Mike Agwongo is in Mumias Muslim School. That is in Mumias West constituency. Let's get to hear what is happening down there. Mike Agwongo, good morning.
It's a good morning here in Mumias West, especially Mumias Central Ward. I can see the studio here is heated. When you have Matsanga there, everything goes wild. I do understand. But here on ground, it's all bought on ground here in Mumias Central Ward and in Kakamega County. And Linda Lela, I just want to inform you that we just got here a few minutes ago, but not everything is going on well, since I'm told that some KIMS kit have not been working since it started, since the stations were opened. This station, it's in Mumias Central Ward. This is Mumias Central Ward. We only have 4 wards in Mumias West. That is Malinya, Etenje, Mumias North, and Mumias Central. Just to inform you, Linda Alela, is that in Mumias North Ward, you remember one of the candidates passed on, and IEBC did postpone the election up to some other time. We're not told on when the elections will be taking place. When we got here, we were told that one of the KIMS kits, one of the streams was not working, but a few minutes ago it has another new one has been brought in, but I'm told as of now it's still not working. I wanted to speak to one of the observers to tell me what the fracas was before we did jet in here, because there was some kind of fracas. Brother, you can tell us your name. What was happening a few minutes before this queue was lined up here?
Yes, my name is Frederick Odhiambo Jiro. I'm an election observer with Haki Africa. We've been here since 5:30, and we have got 4 streams in this polling center. And we've seen elections going on well in the first stream, second stream, but in the third stream, the KIMS kit failed to work. And that brought a challenge of anxiety. And it was worsened by the fact that the presiding officer was unable to communicate with the agents, was unable to communicate with the voters. And so people started yelling, you know, and throwing insults and demanding that, you know, justice be done to them. And in the same context, we were shocked that it was the police officer who was now speaking with the voters, yet the presiding officer avoided the voters. So we see that as a challenge that might cause problems in the future, because a police officer or a security officer should operate and work under the command of the presiding officer, but not the police officer taking charge and calling the shots. So to us, that's a big challenge, and we believe that it will be taken care of. I have managed to speak with the county security, with the sub-county security team, and I've spoken here with Mr. Seko, Daniel Seko. And I've also spoken here with them. I've also spoken here with the OCPD and the DCI, and we have agreed tentatively that he needs to speak with the election leadership, and we've also agreed that once everyone votes here, they should be able to go away.
Have you tried contacting the constituency returning officer?
I have not spoken to him, but I believe that he is fully aware of what is happening here. And I believe that is the reason why the security leadership team have come here to look at this, the situation. So we want to call upon the leadership of the IEBC to be vigilant, to do work according to the laws, according to the guidelines as provided for them.
As an observer, what do you make of bribery allegations that have been going around here?
Yes, we have not really substantiated the allegations, but we have seen one of the politicians here being attacked by a rival politician with rowdy goons, claiming that this politician had got money and was distributing to the voters. We want to believe that IBC leadership must take charge and they should engage with the security team so that people are not seen loitering around. We want to see the political parties' agents not loitering around. We want to see them stationed and operating in an orderly manner. As we speak here, there is no orderly in this polling center, and we need orderly, because without that, we are likely to see behaviors and characters of mismanagement of the elections here. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your input. Okay. You said how many voters are in every polling station?
According to the IBC register, in stream 1 we have got 573 registered voters. In stream 2 here we have got 573. Stream 3 we have got 572, and up there stream 4 we have got 572. Yeah.
So roughly 1,500 voters are in this station.
Yes, unfortunately, you can see for yourself, the voter turnout is very, very low. If you look at stream 2, there's nobody in the queue. If you, stream 1, there's nobody in the queue. And also, if you look at stream 4, there's no one in the queue. Yet this is one of the biggest, this is one of the polling center with the highest number of voters within this sub-county.
The second KM's kit has failed. Yes. What do you make of it?
We are just patient now, because what else can we do? I think I want to escalate this with the county boss, because now we cannot get help from the IBC officials here, because the only thing is now to make sure that we deal with the issue of anxiety, and also influence or demand that the IBC leadership moves with speed to deal with this issue of failing KMSKIT.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Linda Lela, as you can see, about 570 something registered voters in this stream are not queuing, because some of them have been queuing here since the KIMS kit arrived, the new one, but I'm told that it has stopped working. But we are on this ground, in this constituency, in this county, to make sure that we bring forth to our audience on what is happening across the county, that consists of 12 constituencies, and about 7 candidates will be battling it out for the county chief post, topmost chief. And Fernandez Baraz of ODM party will be casting his vote at Bolimbo Primary School. Will be heading there as we depart this Mumias Muslim Primary School. Cleophas Malala will be casting his vote in Kakamega town. Sedas Jirongo of UDP is also vying for this seat, and Suleiman Sanyanya, who is also Major Suleiman Sumba, is also vying for through Kanu ticket. We also have other Samuel Omukoko, Austin Otieno, Michael Osundwa, all of independent candidates. So we'll be all boats on this ground to make sure that our audience do comprehend on what's happening across this county. So our audience should be glued on TV 47 to understand on what will be happening. Back to you, Linda Alela. My name is Mike Kagwango.
All right, and thank you so much, Mike Kagongo, for the updates from Kakamega County, one of the 12 constituencies that is in Mumias West constituency. And we are looking forward to more updates, pretty much not of good reports in regards to how people have turned out to vote, but we hope that the activities will steer up as the day unfolds. Most importantly, we cross over to Mombasa County. Patronila Goren on standby as well for updates on this very end. Just how different is it in Mombasa County as well? Have the people started voting? Pat?
Good morning, Linda, and thank you very much. In Mombasa, yes, people have started voting, and we're expecting over the registered voters that are about 641,000 to vote in their new governor today. Remember, Mombasa, just like Kakamega and 4 other constituencies and 2 wards, were affected by, the elections were postponed by the IEBC, and as a result, they did not participate on the 9th of August. But today, the residents are having that chance to elect their new governor. And just like, unlike the 9th of August, where people came out to vote in large numbers, the queues were long. At the moment, we are at the Uwanja wa Mbuzi polling center, which has about 11 polling stations, and as you can see from the live pictures from my camera person Brian Baraza, is that the people are streaming in at a very slow pace, and the majority of the voters that we've spoken to that have been able to vote have said they've taken less than 2 minutes to vote. But we are hoping that as the day continues, voters will come out and vote. Previously, stakeholders in election matters had anticipated that there will be voter apathy, but as per yesterday, they do confirm that they've done enough sensitization, and plus the holiday today, they expect that people will turn out and vote. But at the moment, Linda, allow me to speak to a number of voters that have already voted, just to share with us how the process is. Shukran sana kwa kuzungumza na runinga ya TV 47. Naomba uje hapa karibu, tanguliza tu na majina yako, utuambie, je, umeweza kupiga kura na imekuwaje?
Yes, nimepiga kura. Kwa majina anaitwa Peter Mtua. Nimeweza kupiga kura hapa Uwanja wa Mbuzi Kongoe, na tumefurahia manake hakuna poleni. Nimefika na kupiga kura kwa dakika 2. Nimeweza kumaliza hiyo shughuli. Kwa hivyo ningeuliza tu wenzangu ambao wako nyumbani waweze kuja kupiga kura. Service iko sawa, hakuna poleni yoyote. Kwa hivyo ningewahimiza wakuja wapige kura ili tumalize mambo ya uchaguzi.
Shukran sana. Na labda tu niweze kusema na wewe kaka, tanguliza na majina yako.
Kwa majina naitwa Julius Sambua. Mimi ni mkaaji hapa Uwanja wa Mbuzi. Na siku ya leo nimekuja kuamua mwenye nitapatia kura ya ugavana. Sasa kutoka kwa nyumba nimetake less than 10 minutes kufika hapa, na shughuli ya upigaji kura inaendelea vizuri. Nimetake less than 1 minute kupiga kura. Yeah.
Shukran sana.
Na ninawahimiza wenzangu wote mahali walipo wajitokeze wajapige kura, sababu usalama uko juu na kuna foleni. Kwa hivyo wajitokeze wapige kura.
Asante sana. Linda, those are just some of the comments from those that have voted, and those that we spoke to have said the same, that they are encouraging the rest of the electors that are still at home to come in and vote. Remember, Nyali constituency has about 124,293 registered voters with slightly above 197 polling stations. And so this is, we will be following this up in the 6 constituencies in this county, just to know how the voting process is and whether electorates are turning out to vote. And we'll be bringing this to our viewers in our subsequent updates of today in our coverage. So Linda, back to you in studio.
All right, thank you, Pert, for the updates. Also, we'll be trying to get a hold of Joash Onsari, but that should be after this short break when we come back to the conversation, just looking at what the situation is like in these specific areas where Kenyans proceed to cast their votes that were postponed. That is from the 9th to the 23rd, and then the 23rd to now the 29th. Just what is the mood like for the people who are excited or looking forward to get a new crop of leadership? Definitely we'll be looking at that, and just how important, you know, this is politically. Yes, a political process that is very important for Right Honorable Raila Odinga as well as Deputy President William Ruto. Remember, it's about making sure that you get as much numbers, especially at the National Assembly. And so we come back with more on that.
You are watching TV 47, the home of untold stories.
Je, maumivu ya kichwa na kukosesha? Despite being visually impaired, he is a jack of all trades. It is our quest to find answers on how to take care of children with special needs and those with disability. You do not need to see musical notes to understand music, but rather to have your soul feel the vibe.
Actually, for us to make a wheelchair, we have to take measurements of the user.
After doing my assessment, I get to know the parent, I get to know the heaviness she's carrying.
Disability comes at different stages of life.
How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business. Farming. Tasty Wednesday. Fitness Thursday. And Feel Good Friday. With amazing DJs, celebs.
Waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga.
And music bands. Every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m.
The next set of millionaires are farmers, as we know agriculture has been and still is the backbone of our economy. As we traverse the different counties to meet different farmers, we ensure to get the story of how they started farming and even how they continue to penetrate the market and overcome the challenges.
Hapa, the reason why nilieka goose na si ducks. Goose, they are very easy to maintain.
A lot of farmers keep on calling, inquiring whether you're supposed to raise some seeds in the nursery or you're supposed to do them directly in the field.
The greenhouse helps us control the temperature because the temperature needs to be between 28 to 32 degrees.
Walk this journey with us every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. It's no secret, construction ain't cheap. But how do we make it affordable? Different individuals are finding ways of cutting down cost by use of pre-stressed slabs other than reinforced concrete, recycling plastics to make pavers.
The brick is stronger, it's cheaper, and it's lighter.
And
only fair for African leaders to come together to speak about what is happening in, one of the other African countries, because, well, we understand how important integration is, and most importantly, how much we want these countries, sober and, in peace, just so we also enjoy the same in Africa.
In 1985, E.W. Botha made a speech to his cabinet. This speech was written by G.W. Milo. And if you look at the content of that speech then, Botha was very categorical that the Afrikaner, that is the white apartheid, were not equal to blacks. And they instituted various mechanisms to fight the blacks. And in it, they had social warfare, they had the biological warfare, they had chemical warfare, and some actually are so extreme to a point that they were causing even like in a Thabo Mbeki presidency the other day. Because I remember Thabo Mbeki, and I remember our laureate Wangari Maathai also suffered when she said that HIV was a biological lab weapon. And that did not augur well with the global community, and especially the groups of apartheid. And in Botha's warfare outline, one was vaccinations, food industry, social warfare, especially HIV, where they were even hiring prostitutes to camouflage and interact with both black and white, after creating a perception that a white person is very important, that all the black were dying to go to bed with white women. And then a white man is so important that all the black women, and these psychological games are still here with us to date. So when I hear the likes of Malema maintaining or blowing hot air as they maintain status quo on the instruments of warfare which actually had been waged against us, and to date the effect of it is devastating. If you look at the recently the test on malaria, the geographical location that is being used as a guinea pig is which geographical location is Africa. And then what have these guys talk about these things? And look at even the HIV pandemic. Various African countries came up with their vaccines. And what happened? Did the Malemas support them? Did they buy it? There were some of the people who were used, if anything, to rubbish. And I'm sorry, may the likes of Magufuli rest in peace. And leaders like Gaddafi, though he had his own undoings, who had the interest of Africa at heart. The Mugabes who stood and defied all the odds to make sure that Africa is united and speak from one front. All these individuals are faced very unorthodox fights, engineered even around the medias, to make us believe that these are the devils that Africa should not have in this day and age. And I think Africa still lacks that enigma, that embodiment who can rally Africa together and stand as one. This is the only continent endowed with resources, with not just material resources, but also human resources with unity, because history backwards will tell you that the first world universities were here in Africa, in Senkore, in Salamanca, in Timbuktu. This is the core. Liki will tell you that the origin of humanity is here with us, even where we are here in Kenya. But when it comes to our stand in the global community, the West have invested heavily to make sure that this is a playhouse. We right from the Council of Nicaea, the Council of Antioch, the Berlin Council, the Scramble for Africa, when you divide and conquer. Look at the wars that are going through in Africa, even in the Central Africa, the Anglophone and the Francophone. John Henry Clark says, you just need to teach them your language because everyone is a slave to the language that they speak. Because you will exalt the nuances and the customs and the cultures of the language you speak. Your language is your master. So if you speak the Anglo-Saxon or the language of the Englishman, you exalt English person like now we're doing. And the Francophone, at the expense of our own languages. At least now we are making effort. And there I'll give it to Rwanda, nationalizing Swahili and making sure that Africa begins speaking. And these are things that can even be attained within 1 year if we have effective leadership. So the likes of Malema should be warned when they're being used. Remember, there is a house Negro and the field Negro.
Yeah.
So if a house Negro is feeling comfortable and thinking that they have arrived, there may be the next meal where liberty actually is concerned, because when people will begin to revolt, yes, we will pick on them. So they should use the limelight and the opportunity they are having to lead Africa through a vision that enhances establishment of institutions. And how do we grow our institutions? How do we grow our democracies? I think somebody of Malema's caliber should be informed of electoral laws and processes.
Right.
If Kenyan election has questions,
let it be.
There is a mechanism that Kenyans have been using. We've not been using the Malemas to sort out our issues. Actually, is us sovereign Kenyans who give our leaders our own sovereign power. In the event that we take it back, and that is the fear we have been fearing. Like right now, you've seen even the way people are responding to election, people are so concerned. People are keeping off the electoral process because their sovereignty has been abused. their vote seems not to be counting.
Right.
Based on the confessions we're seeing nationally in the national TV, people are concerned.
Right.
And our fear is we must guard that concern so that it doesn't gravitate towards anarchy, but go towards establishment of the rule of law. That's what can help us, not agitations and hot air being uttered from whether you are from the south of Cape or from the north or from the west. Here in Kenya, at least we would desire to see an Africa that is rising and that is respected, not being abused by the West.
Okay, and true to it, I would have asked this, that Dr. Masanga keeps saying that, these opposition leaders should as well retire. When we say Museveni should go home, when we remind ourselves of the likes of Mugabe to have gone home, when we speak of Paul Bias of today, when we speak of the Buharis of today, he also speaks of the fact that it is important that we see the likes of Raila Odinga, the likes of Kiza Besigye, the likes of Changirai, may his soul rest in eternal peace, retire as opposition, staunch opposition leaders, and at least, nurture those ones that come on board. But I like, yes?
In that context, we would agree that change is spontaneous.
Yes.
Change is not static. And every community should have its own mechanism of developing. I think those are the challenges these players that you are citing are facing.
Yeah.
Instead of mentoring and being able to pass the baton, they've been overstayed.
Right.
And they're overstaying in a context that now require a very efficient, dynamic leadership. As I was sitting today, I was just listening to some business news, and then they're looking at the global inflation and the effect that is having in economy.
Yeah.
Africa, even the Chinese stock market has been on the downfall for the last 2 years, since 2020s. What is Africa doing about it? And what is America doing? You see, there are challenges, there are discussions we should be having now. Even the type of leadership that we should be, we ought to have been electing are leaders who are in sync with the context of global community, the health issues, the inflation that we are facing. Actually, that's not the narrative that you are hearing in Kwanza, that you are hearing in ODM. And these are the challenges that we were proposing, that we need to have individuals who are in tune and in sync with the global occurrence. So when somebody says, yes, certain individuals are overstaying, then I agree with you, we must enhance platforms that bring onto play the individuals who have what it takes to compete globally.
All right, and we might never get to see Raila Odinga president, and I use the word might with so much caution, Dr. Masanga. But he speaks of the fact we might never get to see.
Why?
That's why I say I use the word might with a lot of caution in this case.
Is after.
All right, after the Supreme Court ruling. Yes, that's fine. Whichever way.
If the figures were not fidgeted with by
that is not a factor, Dr. Masanga.
Gang.
Allow me to get to the bottom line of my question. Okay. And the bottom line is this. The Right Honorable Raila Odinga categorically says that he really does not have a problem with going back home.
Yes.
But what he seeks is the prosperity of this nation.
Yes.
Perhaps contradicting what other people would be arguing. That, you know what, we are tired with these court cases. How about we get that aspect of peace? How about we move on? How about we accept and say that it's over and done? Write a consent speech. Just how important is this quest at the Supreme Court?
Let me tell you what His Excellency, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, is saying.
African countries, because
he has not refused. He will accept the results if there is justice.
Yeah.
And all the votes tallied. You cannot have mathematical errors in almost everything. Even in the paper which Chebukati used to announce Ruto's had a mathematical error. Where did Chebukati go to school? This school should be demolished. Where he went, the school should be demolished and the goat should be slaughtered because he failed mathematics. He was doing this thing in a dungeon. We have traced imagery. From tomorrow you will see.
And that's what we're looking forward to. That's why we say we did not
imagery from the time 8:27, 16 minutes. When Mr. Chebukati left the Bomas and told the other commissioners, we shall meet at 11. Where did he go? He better tell the people. And Mr. Chebukati, prepare, because I haven't seen it in your affidavit. We have been asking for documents. A consignment cannot just leave Paris and then pass Kenya, then be delivered in Kilimanjaro, delivered in Juba, delivered in Entebbe.
There has to be some details of this that is being delivered.
Yes, Cherera has told you in her affidavit that they found everything was packed.
Let's not go back to before we get we're going step by step, Dr.
Yes,
Masanga.
now
We're getting to the details.
You're asking
My
me,
question is
yes,
just how crucial is this process?
It's very crucial for Raila Odinga.
And for the people of Kenya?
Yes, crucial. You must know the facts. You can't come up and say, I was fixed by Ogeto to announce who. So it means the conclusion from the judges' heads, the whole thing was a fracas, isn't it? If you say you admit that there was somebody who contacted you in your drinking house, or your what, I don't want to use another bad word here, because Chebukati has a problem. I don't want to tell you here on this television. You know, I'm keeping quiet because Chebukati should know I have his tape in a hotel in Mombasa. And Chebukati, as an editor from the Luya community, I've kept quiet. But when I released this one, you remember when you met me in the corner of that hotel in the lobby, you told me the people you hate, I will keep quiet. As a lawyer, I will wash my hands and keep quiet. But let me tell you, if a man, I
like how Masanga keep quiet.
No, but
all right.
I'm not going to I am not, it's like on Sakaja case. I died as a lawyer. As a lawyer editor.
Tribal factor.
Yes, 67. I and Atwali have died for Sakaja. But if we came up to talk things here, things would be very bad. Please, as lawyers, we are keeping quiet. But the truth is this. Raila is seeking justice. Mr. Chebukati created a criminal enterprise. And I repeat, headed by very senior lawyer who is walking around.
Hold it, Dr. Masanga. Dr. Masanga.
He went to Kwale. I have gone back to Kwale.
To find out.
Oh, no.
It's a game of hunting.
The same hotel where this senior lawyer who walks around here made Mr. Godonia Oma. Tuambiane ukweli sasa. Godonia Oma, and the man went to the national TV, told the people, I am in the court, opinion polls. Which is when did the senior council start doing opinion polls?
Let's cool the fire. We're coming to you. Hold it, Dr. Masanga. Step by step. We are going to the Supreme
Raila
Court
is seeking
tomorrow.
justice.
I hope justice is
Raila
found.
wants justice. Count the votes.
Raila and many other petitions.
Count the votes. If the votes say, Mr. His Excellency, the man I rescued from ICC with white lips,
is indeed the president-elect.
Yes, is indeed the Ruto.
So be it.
Yeah, the one who was even going to die. It could be in
Let's cross over to a different direction, briefly, and calm the fire. We're coming back to
calmed
you.
Down.
I sometimes allow him to get to that level,
but
because you get to understand some of the things Doctor, we have to cross over to
his votes.
Doctor.
If he has got less, we shall agree, all of us. It's Ruto, the owner of this world.
Neither is Raila, neither are you.
Raila is not the owner. I'm not the owner.
Dr. Masanga, let's not make it a monologue, and we're coming to you, but briefly, let's cross over to Rongai and get to hear what is happening on that bit. And I'm afraid we'll have to allow us to be crossing over to these parts once in a while to get to know what is happening and as well cool the fire in studio. And so, Chichi Josephine, thank you so much for, being steadfast to keep us up to tabs. We're looking forward to hear what is happening down there.
Yeah, Linda, currently I'm at a Masengeri polling station here in Rongai constituency, where if my camera person can show you is that the turnout is still low in this particular polling station. Initially, we were at Kiamunyi Mixed Secondary School, where of course this particular situation was similar in that particular polling stations. And just to tell you is that in Masengeri polling station we have 3 streams, where stream 1 has a number of 622 voters, stream 2 has a number of 621 voters, and stream 3 has a total number of 621 voters. And just to tell you, to remind you, is that in Rongai constituency we have a number of 84,625 registered voters. And therefore, without further ado, Linda, allow me to talk to the presiding officer in this particular polling station to tell us how the whole exercise is ongoing. Thank you very much for talking to TV47. Karibia hapa. Nieleze zoezi zima linaendelea vipi na labda idadi ya watu ambao wamejitokeza inakaa vipi?
Okay, for now the turnout is at 28 people. The polling process began at 0600 hours, and we don't have any challenge. The voting exercise is proceeding on well.
What time did you commence the voting exercise?
It was at 6 a.m. sharp.
And how about the KIMS kit? Is it operating normally, or have there been any reported issues about the KIMS kit?
We don't have any challenge. The KIMS kit is in good working condition.
You kindly tell us, since that early morning, people who have been streaming in, of course, voting, have you in any way realized the number of voters who are turned up for the previous particular exercise and in this one? How different is the whole turning up issue?
Okay, according to the statistics, the voter turnout is almost similar, but for today, last time, according to the time, maybe it's today we have less by 10 people. Yeah, okay. According to the same time.
Okay, thank you very much. Linda, remember that is the presiding officer in this particular polling station. And remember, I told you in Masengeri polling station, we have 3 streams that has an equal number of voters, 621, 621, and 622 in stream 1. And remember that here in Rongai constituency, we have 3 candidates who are contesting for the parliamentary position. That is the incumbent member of parliament, that is Raymond Moi, vying under the KANU party. We have Luka Kigen of the CCM party, and we also have the former MCA, that is Paul Chebor of the UDA party. But a stiff competition is expected between Raymond Moi, who is the incumbent member of parliament for Rongai constituency under the KANU party, and also the former MCA Paul Chebor of the UDA party. And therefore, Linda, just to inform you, is that here there's been no chaos, of course, compared to last time, where we saw youth protesting and, of course, barricading the roads, burning tires. But today it's calm, it's quite peaceful, and of course security has been beefed up in this particular polling station. And to tell you is that as the only thing is that low number of turnout, or rather voters have not turned out as expected, of course, compared to the other general election, or rather the previous general election. People today, or rather voters today, did not turn up as expected. Just to tell you, I will be able to speak to the constituency returning officer, who is not here. Of course, she is in another polling station. I'll be able to get in touch with her. We shall be able to know how the whole process is ongoing in this particular sub-county, or rather constituency of Rongai. And of course, I shall be able to bring to tabs our viewers to what will be happening in this particular sub-county. Over to you, Linda. Allow me gather more information, and I will be able to, of course, keep you posted. My name is Chichi Josephine.
Information you've given us so far, Chichi Josephine. And I remember during the vote day, that is the 9th of August, you also were there instrumentally following up on the events of this, constituency, that is Rongai constituency, and the processes of voting that were postponed to this very day. And so we're looking forward to get more updates, contrary to what we would have expected. Chichi says the numbers are not so many, but then again, the day is still young, so we can only wait to see. We come to you, Mheshimiwa Philip Kisia. It's gloves off affidavits after affidavits. It's, expose after expose. It is CCTV after CCTV release. It is what is going to hugely inform the case at the Supreme Court, based on the respondents, based on the petitioners, the amicus curiae, those ones that are going to speak to the courts. And we're looking forward to great judgment for that matter. In this short time, what do you make of this? If it is not Tuju surprising us with some information, it is Chebukati. If it is not him, it is one of the returning officers there. If it is not them, then it's Dr. Masanga.
Linda, first of all, I want to thank my senior brother for covering up on my brother
Chebukati and Sakaja.
Wafula, and my nephew, Johnson. He's my nephew, he's not my brother, he's my nephew. Because the mother, comes from where I come from, so he's my nephew.
You see?
So I thank him for I thank him for covering up whatever information he has, and that's how elders behave. Okay. But you see, I think this year's elections, more than any other elections, have been a charade. It's a cinema. Yeah? I think I would not be surprised if somebody in Hollywood is preparing an episode of this one. Because it's more of a movie than anything else. And I think Dr. Juma and myself should be a bit worried. We are fairly upright and as clean as peeled potatoes. We should be worried because it appears as if we are living in a space where people, record you for whatever you do. But me and my brother, Dr. Juma here, we have no reason to worry because we are quite upright. So, elections, an election period is a time where people are supposed to express their will. And the will of the people needs to be respected. But from what I've seen, I don't know, from at least what I've seen, the affidavits I've read that I've bothered to read, because there are too many. Some of them I think I find more of a joke than anything else. But, sometimes we make an attempt to read them. It is a sad state of affairs. And I'm only hoping, and it's my prayer that no truth is found in some of those affidavits. Because if there's any element of truth in some of the affidavits that I've read, then some people are committee bound. They should not even take it through any legal process. If what I'm reading is true, indeed true, it's actually massacre. You have massacred the will of the people. So I'm just praying, I'm praying every day that what people are saying has nothing near to truth. But you see, courts are not about just long documents that you present before them. Courts rely on facts. Do you have the facts? Number two, what does the law say about what you've said? And then, of course, finally, you need to have a very good advocate to prosecute the matter. Because you can have good facts. The law can be for you, and even God can be for you. But if you don't prosecute your matter fairly well, then, of course, you are headed towards doom. But what I must say is that from what I've seen from both sides, they have a fairly credible lawyers who would prosecute these matters very competently. Yeah, and the bench that we have of 7 are people of high repute, people with respect. We've seen the judgments that they have come up with. They've actually become a precedence, not only in Africa, but all over the world. I think for the first time in Africa, we saw a court overrule, referring back the people or the electoral body into a rerun of an election. We saw the Supreme Court, you know, declaring BBI illegal. So I think Kenyans have faith in the Supreme Court, and I'm sure those men and women that respect will come up with a judgment that will be fair to all Kenyans, so that we all set ourselves free.
Hold it, Doctor.
But let me just say this. Let me say in closing, Linda.
Allow us to take a short break and then we come back to
You want to take a break, commercial break?
a quick one, and then come back.
Okay.
Okay.
You are watching TV 47, the home of...
Despite being visually impaired, he is a jack of all trades. It is our quest to find answers on how to take care of children with special needs and those with disability. You do not need to see musical notes to understand music, but rather to have your soul feel the vibe.
Actually, for us to make a wheelchair, we have to take measurements of the user.
After doing my assessment, I get to know the parent, I get to know the heaviness she's carrying.
Disability comes at different stages of life.
How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, aangalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business. Farming. Tasty Wednesday. Fitness Thursday. And Feel Good Friday. With amazing DJs. Celebs.
Welcome back to the broadcast. Dr. Masanga, as well as Philip Kesia and Justus Juma. Philip, your last submissions before I come to Juma.
You know, we were talking about the affidavits, and I was saying that I just hope that there's no iota of truth in what I've read. But if there is, then I think people are bound to Committee Express. Now, let me just talk about the one of the affidavits which I found very interesting. Or rather, the comments that were made by my good friend Raphael Tuju, my former boss. You know, it is very interesting that if it is true, again I'm saying if it's true, I'm qualifying my statement, that a chairman of a commission can visit somebody who has political interest, and the interests are well known to the public. You visit them at whatever hours of the day, whether in broad daylight or even at night. I think when you're holding such a position, you need to be a bit measured in your actions. So, I mean, it's unfortunate that if it is
says
true,
that he requested to see Jibkadi to raise some concerns.
No.
Yes.
There are two instances.
Yes.
One, where...
the commissioners went to...
where Raphael requested to see the chairperson because there were issues that the other commissioners could not handle. But there's there's a claim from Raphael that indeed my brother Wafula Chebukati
has met me.
Actually made his way to Karen, to my friend's residence, and they had a discussion. That in itself raised a lot of questions. If it can be proved, that he did visit Raphael during this particular time, then he has no moral authority to preside over IEBC. He should actually resign immediately, go home, and wait to be prosecuted. Because when you're holding such a sensitive position, you are supposed to be neutral, okay? You don't visit even your own brother or sister, during such a time. You keep off until the matters are over. Then you can start visiting your relatives. But you are visiting somebody who's not even your relative, somebody who's not even sick, somebody who's not even dying. Why would you visit that person and you know he's an interested party?
Dr. Justice Juma, that Chebukati says, in his response that, a couple of people got to see him, and of course with some various requests, if not, pleads. He speaks of Solicitor General Kennedy Ogeto, speaks of Hilary Mutyambai, the IG, speaks of Defense Forces F. Ogola, and a couple of other people, including Raphael Tuju, as a senior here would say. Just how...
Which is a dangerous tactic.
Dangerous.
In case it's being used.
Yeah.
Because, you see, when he extend all this to the civil servants, even the Kenya Defense Force,
yeah,
because likes of Ogola actually are the next in line to be the generals. And I think tainting them early, these are may be very costly, unless somebody has attacked to get them out of the way in case the case is the petition is not turned. And whatever Chebukati is insinuating to me is neither here or there to answer the questions of who won and who did not win, because the petition before the court, which today's conference call may be focusing on. I don't see the judges focusing more on these side theatrics of who was a night runner where in the night and who is fondling who where. The huge question here is if Raila claims that he won, the votes should indicate that he won.
It's the numbers.
So how are they going to arrive at the number? They may focus more on either tallying the numbers or the figures, or reviewing the Kim's kit and verifying the Form 34s, both A's, B and C, to see if they're indicative. But of course, some of the weighty matters that may bring concerns, like I got so interested on the DCI forensic analysis on regards to the foreigners' influence within the electoral process. And their recommendation is actually very serious. They're recommending that exhibits were found with some substantial IEBC data and IEBC election system. Thus, there is need for urgent forensic audit of the system to check for exploitable vulnerabilities. Now, exploitable vulnerabilities, I think I saw Sonkuli, the operation manager of IEBC, also swear taking an affidavit on regards to whether there were infiltrations, there were interceptions of Form 34, and they were altered, because questions have been raised. Form 34 in the original polling station were in JPEG form. And at the portal, they're ending up as PDFs. Yes. And I think, to me, those are serious questions, which actually should not be answered by these side shows of who met who in the night or who did what. I think that's a serious joke and an insult to Kenyan intelligence and even to the process. And actually, some people may find, this may bite some people within the court, because I'm wondering how a reputable judge will take those theatrics seriously when the question on the table is the abuse of citizen sovereignty. The citizen sovereignty, which the Constitution has been categorical about. We are provided with a system which chooses at the polling station who is our preferred candidate at the polling station, not at the national level, because we did remove this thing from the national level due to infiltrations and irregularities.
Right.
Now that Commission has its own mandate outlined as per the Constitution, and its mandate actually was oversight. The nature of oversight also actually has been well outlined within the Electoral Act, not just within the Constitution alone, such that the operation and the functions of the Commission, if I may quote the High Court, the Supreme Court ruling on the minor KIA versus IEBC 2017, there were specific angle that the court took, that the oversight role was not supposed to be done individually, but it was to be a collective
responsibility.
If possible, democratic collective responsibility, which in this case, if I look at Cherera's affidavit, actually I get a bit concerned about Chebukati.
Okay.
But that notwithstanding, even before Cherera comes, where their oath of office is concerned, by the way, they may also shoot themselves on the foot, because there is a collective responsibility across the board in the Constitution as per how the Commission ought to respond, conduct its oversight. So if they were individualized, and then you see they state that Chebukati transferred even the returning officers at the very last hour in March. By the way, even me, I was so surprised. There are some returning officers who are my friend, who I knew were in Wasingishu, only to see that they're in Kirinyaga, and then they're the ones reporting against death cases or stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what happened? He said, yeah, we were transferred at the last minute. And I'm wondering what informed that and what are the effects, because election is a process. It's not a one-day event. If an officer actually have specialized within a geographical location and set in place mechanism to achieve the desired result, altering them or swapping them during the last minute, I think that's a big question that needs to be answered.
So then what is likely to be the nullifying point in the event that such is going to play out? We remember 2017, and we all understand what the nullifying factor was. Of course, open the server, Kenyans did not have access to this, and therefore this was considered null and void. But then again, on this factor, there are a couple of things. This ones that we raise aboard as to the disintegration of the IEBC officials or the commissioners, a couple of things that are being brought to the fore in the question of numbers and whether there's any of them who attain the 50+1. These meetings that we speak of, and true to it, to you acknowledging that yes, they met with Chebukati at some secret place and that Chebukati should come out and place this on the form. Key players, the likes of Solicitor General, involved in these conversations and all these meetings. But the question of numbers, that in the event of the day, if Chebukati manages to, perhaps bring to the fore the numbers that would tally proper.
Which ones?
Okay.
You think? I think even let us, even before we get into numbers, I think the most critical thing to determine is whether the elections were free, fair, verifiable, accountable, and transparent.
All right. Were they not this time?
Were they? No, that is up to the courts.
Okay.
I am not one of the judges, but I think that's the basis. Even before we get to the numbers.
Okay.
Because numbers as a result of a process, right?
And so
because if the numbers were right, but it was not free, fair, verifiable, accountable, and transparent, of course, that is a basis of nullifying this entire electoral process. But let me also just weigh in on something that my brother Juma said. This country has been peaceful for 59 years. And let's not take this for granted. When, for expediency, you drag in names of senior military officers in a political process, it is dangerous. It should not be allowed. Okay?
Even when they drag
it is extremely dangerous.
Calling for this meeting,
it is extremely dangerous.
To ask the direction.
No. You must have the facts, because if eventually we find that you just dragged in names of public servants, military personnel, for expediency purposes, I think even if you are a civilian, you should be caught.
I don't know whether you've been lucky enough to see one of these videos that is making rounds.
Forget about no, I do not. You see, no,
Okay,
1
okay,
second.
okay.
Let's forget about those things.
Yes.
That
This is the Hustler Nation Intelligence Bureau.
No, forget about those things on social media. You see, no, 1 second. No.
How can it be no until?
The canon of measuring all these irregularities is the Constitution.
So you see,
who has the exclusive mandate to manage elections?
Forget about
IEBC.
Yeah, forget about.
So you can't be sidetracking people and mentioning other names who have no constitutional responsibility.
So, of course, the other thing that I'm really worried about, you know, if you look at chapter 1, I think it says that Kenya is a sovereign state.
Yep.
And that's what we must all defend. So if there's any iota of confirmation that there was foreign interference into an electoral process,
then that is
not only should the elections be nullified, but those who were in charge must be held criminally liable. Okay? They must be held criminally liable. Finally, one other point that my brother brought up, which is to the core of my heart, is the issue of governance. You know, the crafters of the Constitution were not stupid when they said we shall have a commission. And there are very few commissions. They said we have a commission solely in charge of our electoral process. Okay? And even Parliament went further and created an act of Parliament that deals with elections. Okay? We have 7 commissioners. It's not by accident. It's to ensure that we have proper governance. So when an individual, because from the information that I've read, runs a commission as if it is private property, it's a one-man show. It is ridiculous. It should not be entertained. Because the basic principles of good governance requires that you, discuss deliberate matters as a board or as a commission. You arrive at a consensus. Where you disagree, you take a vote. If you find there are equal numbers, the chairman has a casting vote. From what I've heard from my friend and brother Wafula Chebukati, he's telling us that, you know, I as a returning officer can do this. Yes, the law allows you as a returning officer to announce results.
Yes.
But are you announcing your results of the results of a commission?
Okay.
Finally, on that, finally, Linda, finally on that matter, when you say that the other commissioners are irrelevant, that they should not get involved in the process, are they just mere flower girls? Are you saying that when Form 34A was transmitted electronically, that these other commissioners should not verify to confirm that these are the actual...
They were trying to force a runoff.
No, I'm saying, no. Forget about forcing a runoff. We are talking about their involvement. Are you saying that they have no right to interrogate that information and say, wait a minute, that there appears to be alteration here?
Which they did.
That there appears to be alteration here.
Which they did.
That these figures don't really make sense.
They were being allowed
are
to
you saying, things,
but just
are you suggesting that those commissioners, their job is just to rubber stamp? I think I differ. So this brother of mine, I'm just hoping that after this process, he can come and for free, I'll pay for a governance course for him. I'll pay for him.
His is a
I think
tough job.
he needs to understand what
really
good governance, what good governance is all about.
Dr. Masanga, allow me to cross over to Kakamega briefly, and then we come back to you on that very matter.
Okay.
That your intelligence, the one that you present in the videos, are legit, but this was that are being presented are...
No, mine, I go to the source.
Okay. Let's listen into what is happening in Kakamega County.
Bonoko intelligence, and I tell people,
Dr. Masanga,
there was a video of General so
if the video is...
Mine is the source.
All right, let's cross over to Kakamega County.
I went to the hotel where the man slept.
Kakamega County, Violet Auma. Good morning.
Yeah, morning to you, Linda. Yes, I'm in Kakamega County, Bulimbo Tallying Center, or the polling station, and it is also the tallying center here in Matungu sub-county. And of course, a spot check in different parts of the Kakamega County. We've had voting started exactly at 6 a.m. But compared to August 9th, where we were able to see long queues right now, I think if my camera person Odera can just pan and get to see, we don't have long queues as it was experienced on August 9th polls, and it is actually replicated in many areas, or rather many polling stations that we have gone. We were at Muliro Gardens, we have been at Ekero PAG polling station, and here at Bulimbo, and of course the same story. Many people have not turned up, and last elections, as per the records of IEBC, the county returning officer told us that we had a 60% turnout in the August polls, but of course it will just be a wait and see how many people will be able to turn up for the gubernatorial elections here in Kakamega County. This is the polling station where the gubernatorial candidate Azimio, that is ODM's Fernandez Baraza, is expected to come and cast his vote any time from now. He had said that will be coming at 8:30, and so we'll just also be waiting to get to see if he'll be coming to cast his vote. Here in Kakamega County, we have 1,685 polling stations that, of course, that were opened for August polls, but of course 3 of them will not be able to be opened. That is the prisons. They're always given an opportunity just to cast presidential votes, but they will not be able to participate in the gubernatorial election. So this year we have, 29th polls, that is today, we have 1,682 polling stations that are open for locals just to come out and vote. Of course, we've had locals and also leaders just calling out for everyone to come out and vote and participate. Yesterday, we were also able to talk to SCK Bishop, Kakamega Diocese Bishop Joseph Obanyi, who also called on residents just to turn out and vote, because this is also a position that is very key in terms of development at the county level, and so everybody has to exercise his mandate just to ensure that they come out and vote in their second governor, after Governor Wycliffe Oparanya, who has served his 2 terms constitutionally, and so he will not be able to vie for the same seat. And of course, we are just expecting 844,709 registered voters here in Kakamega County to turn up and just vote. It is still early, and I'm just hoping maybe we'll be able to see some queues increase with time, but of course we'll just keep an eye and get to see what is happening. At Ekero PAG, we were able to talk to some of the voters who had arrived, but they said they were not voting at that time when we went there, and of course there was some issues with the kits, and they had communicated to the county returning officer, and they were waiting for a feedback. I don't know if they will be able to resort to manual, because the kits had already failed at that particular time, and we were there for about 20-30 minutes and nothing was going on at that time. And since morning, only 36 people had voted at that polling station. And of course we'll also just keep in touch with the county returning officer to get to see if at all they will be able to they will be resorting to manual register if at all the digital register is, or rather the kits are failing at that particular point. But as at now, Kakamega County gubernatorial election race has attracted 7 candidates. Among them are outgoing Senator Cleophas Malala of ANC, Fernandez Baraza of ODM, Sulaiman Kanyanya of KANU, UDP's Jirongo, Cyrus Jirongo, and of course we have Sam Omkok of MDP, and we have 2 candidates who are independent, that is Wycliffe Osundwa and Austin Opi. So let me just bring in one of the locals who will just come to vote. Kaka, unaitwa nani na hapa ushapiga kura?
Bado sijapiga kura.
Unaitwa nani?
Naitwa Bishop Erastus Masika, Assistant Bishop wa Matungu District. Kenya Assemblies of God.
Okay.
Yeah, so nimefika sasa around 20 minutes ago. Sijapiga kura, ndio nataka kuingia. Na changamoto tu ambayo naona wakati nimeingia ni ya kwamba watu ni wachache. Si kama vile ambayo tulipiga kura tarehe 9. Tarehe 9 tulikuwa watu wengi sana. Lakini kwa sasa tunaingia moja moja. Then pia changamoto ambayo nimeona ni ya kwamba room 2 yetu ambayo nilikuwa nimepigia kura hapo awali ni ya kwamba mashini imekataa kufanya kazi. Sasa nataka kuangalia room 3 ama room 4 nione kama nitapiga kura ili nirudi nyumbani kwa wakati ambao unaofaa. Ya hapa kuna amani, kuna security ambayo iko nzuri na turnout is very slow, but tunaingia moja tukipiga kura tukitoka. Kwa compound hii hakuna watu wengi, watu wanapiga kura wakienda shughuli zao na kuonyesha kwamba kuna amani ya kutosha.
Pasi na kutaja majina, labda pengine unaweza tutueleza wewe ni kiongozi aina gani kama gavana ambaye wewe unataka?
Kama kiongozi kwanza kabisa katika Kakamega County tunataka kiongozi ambaye ni wa maendeleo, kiongozi ambaye ataiga mfano wa Oparanya, kwa sababu Oparanya amekuwa mzee wa msaada kwetu kabisa, na tunataka kiongozi kama mzee wa Oparanya kuendeleza maendeleo ambayo Oparanya alikuwa ameachia mahali. Na pia tumeona ya kwamba already tumechukua uamuzi ndani ya mioyo yetu. Tunajua kiongozi ambaye anaenda kumpatia kura ambaye ataridhi mzee Oparanya kwa uchaguzi ambao unakuja.
Sasa kwa ufupi tu labda kanaweza zungumza na kaka, tueleze majina yako na wewe hisia zako ni zipi kuhusiana na shughuli nzima ya upigaji kura hapa?
Kwa majina naitwa Collins Wesonga. Mimi ni mkaaji wa hapa Bulimbo, na nashukuru ya kwamba siku imefika ya kuchagua governor ambaye tunahitaji, mwenye ataingia kwa kiatu ya the former governor Mr. Oparanya. Kwa kazi ambayo alifanya ilikuwa kazi nzuri. Tunaomba mwenye tunachagua leo awe na mwito na kufanya kazi ile ambayo itasaidia mwananchi wa Kakamega County. Pia vijana watafurahia.
Sawa. Acha nipate tu sauti ya mama. Naomba usonge kidogo tu na wewe tueleze hisia zako mama.
Asante. Mimi kwa majina naitwa Bikresentia Ojwang Wangona. Mimi nimekuja kupika kura, japokuwa ninaona turnout sio mzuri sana. Lakini tuna matumaini kura tutapika vizuri na tutapata ule tunataka. Mimi nia yangu na matumaini yangu, nataka ule mtu mkakamafu Kakamega, ule mtu ambaye anajua kufanya kazi na hakuna sio mwingine isipokuwa ni Fernando.
Asante asante sana. Thank you so much. So those are just sentiments of locals here in Kakamega County. But as I said, of course, we have lots but we're just hoping that maybe with time people will be coming and voting, casting their vote, electing their second governor here in Kakamega County. Of course, we'll do a spot check in different parts of the country, and of course, we will be updating our viewers at TV47 what is happening here in Kakamega County, being Monday 29th, where they're electing their second governor here in Kakamega. I take it back to you, Linda Lela.
All right, thank you so much, Violet Auma, for the updates all the way from Kakamega, and we're looking forward to more as the day unfolds. We take a quick break. We come back with the gentleman in studio.
Despite being visually impaired, he is a jack of all trades. It is our quest to find answers on how to take care of children with special needs and those with disability. You do not need to see musical notes to understand music, but rather to have your soul feel the vibe.
Actually, for us to make a wheelchair, we have to take measurements of the user.
After doing my assessment, I get to know the parent, I get to know the heaviness she's carrying.
Disability comes at different stages of life.
Well, do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business. Farming. Tasty Wednesday. Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
Waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga.
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m.
The next set of millionaires are farmers. As we know, agriculture has been and still is the backbone of our economy. As we traverse the different counties to meet different farmers, we ensure to get the story of how they started farming and even how they continue to penetrate the market and overcome the challenges.
Hapa, the reason why niliweka goose na si ducks. Goose, they are very easy to maintain.
A lot of farmers keep on calling, inquiring whether you're supposed to raise some seeds in the nursery or you're supposed to do them directly in the field.
The greenhouse helps us control the temperature because the temperature needs to be between 28 to 32 degrees.
Walk this journey with us every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. It's no secret, construction ain't cheap. But how do we make it affordable?
Different.
Okay.
And a constitutional creatures like Samoei Ruto.
Is it?
Yes.
Like they said, President Uhuru Kenyatta really was in contempt of various matters.
Don't dilute it. And a constitutional creature. I have not insulted anybody.
Yes, you say that.
He's raiding. He knows the constitution is very clear. If you are an independent candidate, elected on independent ticket, and if you are in a coalition, the act is very clear, Mr. So-called unconstitutional president-elect, because this is the mistake you are making. And the mistake was made by even African leaders. When you, reaching out to go where? You are elected on Azimio.
Reached out.
Can we? Have you seen?
They have all gone to
Have
Karen.
you seen UDN?
UDN?
Have you seen Raila calling people to come and join him?
Is he the one who's been calling them, or they have reached out? To
I am saying.
Kivutha Kibwana, for instance.
Kibwana is a man who has changed so many suits very times. Look at his political history, the anthropological traits of Kivutha Kibwana is so dangerous in changing. In 2007, he was with Waki to finish who? Don't bring.
Okay, the UDM.
There are some names you don't UDM, mention. Matsanga here.
Those are the ones that have committed to work with.
Let me make my point very clear. My point is this.
But let's be factual.
You have been, yes, it's factual. You have been elected as independent. What business have you got to go to glorify William Ruto?
Dr. Masanga, I will remind you of your utterances on this.
You are an independent man.
Dr.
You have not been sworn in.
Dr. Masanga, I will remind you of your very own utterances on this show.
Yes.
When I asked you how important it would be for Baba to make sure that as he ascends to power in the event that he does, then he has proper representation at the level of parliament.
I said.
And you said that
and
that should not be the problem. Yours is to deliver a president. And then you are going to make sure that the others then come in to join
by following the act.
Is it okay? And so
by following
no, you did not say that.
What
is wrong in this?
Can I finish my point?
Please.
By following the act.
Okay.
The act. The act is very clear.
Yes, which decree?
When you'd go.
At what point?
At what point? But this guy is not yet sworn in.
Even if he's sworn, is there a point
you
that
are cutting my point,
Dr. Masanga,
Linda.
we have to be
the guy is not sworn in.
Okay.
He has not been sworn in as a president of Republic of Kenya. He has already begun raiding, confusing the constitution. Therefore, he will not be constitutional. Because the constitution, the Electoral Act is very clear under the coalition.
Actually,
when they should leave and not leave.
In support
can
of
you
that,
read for them?
And then we come back to you. Yes.
In support to that.
Yeah.
You see, the formation of or the structure of a democratic activities are governed by the Constitution. In the Political Parties Act, there is formation of political party. There's formation of coalitions, and there's formation of mergers. And there are underlying acts that are guiding every activity or any political alliances. If it's a coalition, there's currently a provision of coalition party, and there's coalition
party of coalitions
or political parties. Now, the coalition party actually is being registered just like almost the political party is registered. Remember, a political party is an alliance of specific individuals with certain ideologies, such that at no given time should a member of any political party be promoting the ideologies of another political party if they're not in alliance or coalition, according to the Political Parties Act.
If the Ugenya Member of Parliament accepts to do that and succumbs to that, the problem is him, or the problem is the party leader of this other party?
No,
that he
there is serious lack of etiquette
in
the democratic space, which actually exposes ignorance of various political leaders regarding our laws, because there's constitutional guidance, and these lawless players are the individuals who actually fondle our democracy and actually dissuade us from achieving the desired democratic goals. If one was beneficiaries, because when people were forming coalitions, and let me tell you, I'm not supporting Azimio, neither am I supporting Kenya Kwanza, because as Justice and Freedom Party, we stay course, knowing the consequences of entering into a coalition without understanding proper ideologies and the vision of any given coalition.
Right.
Now, why we did not enter all these coalitions were what are now playing currently. Because if we opted to join a specific coalition, right now, we'll have moral conscience to identify with specific ideology. But here are individuals who ran and they joined a coalition which is bound by a coalition agreement. Now, coalition agreements, like now Kenya Kwanza, I think, states categorically that a member, if wants to actually leave the coalition, can do that through writing, and we give a period of 6 months. Are those procedures, have they implemented such procedures? I think it's hardly 6 months since we had general election. Yeah. So when we find individuals, and that also applies to Kenya Kwanza coalition, because even Kenya Kwanza coalition is a coalition registered under Register of Political Parties. And those acts are very strenuous, such that there are code of conduct within those the coalition governments. And those code of conduct is what is bounding these individuals. But actually, the question I would be having, even with the beneficiaries of these defections, what are worrying me regarding the exposure, because you should also be informed enough to help and add value to the people who are joining you. Like an independent candidate is clearly defined in the Constitution. And actually the points or areas, constitutional areas of disqualification of an independent candidate is if an independent candidate associate with a political party.
And therefore in this case we're bound to get lots of by-elections.
Exactly. Yes. If that is actually even perceived, then you stand to lose your seat.
Yes.
These guys have not even been sworn in. Yes. And already they're being paraded, and they're being, and actually I feel for them, how ignorant can these individuals be regarding the law?
If this were to happen in the event that, this person has been sworn in, then what happens to the people who believed in you and decided to go and vote for you under a certain party, like we've seen the people of Ugenya saying, as well as those ones who believed in you as an independent candidate?
You used even the resources of Azimio. Okay. Yes. Azimio gave funding, transport, petrol. You used our resources. And you are running away, leaving us with a burden. The people who voted you because they know Raila. And you won. Then you have run quickly, and there is a man who is unconstitutional, who is going to show us that he's a dangerous creature when he gets the power. And that gentleman is none other than Dr. William Samoei Ruto. He's going to act like a Moi No, wait.
Are you acknowledging that he is indeed?
It's not. It's not indeed. That is not. That is not craft. That is not
Why do you argue
craftsmanship.
that with them?
That is not craftsmanship. It is conmanship. You cannot go and raid other people to impress the Supreme Court that the whole country is with you, when you have already raided under the criminal enterprise in IEBC, headed by your senior counsel lawyers.
That be too radical, Dr.
I am
Masanga.
being too radical.
This matter is on the case.
If I am not radical,
and I mean, let's
if I am not, listen, look here.
Level,
if I'm not radical, you cry later. But if I'm radical, the people will
Dr.
understand.
Masanga, you've been radical and we've been here.
And I have been
crying.
vindicated. Haven't I been vindicated? I told you on this show, can Chebukati today, and I'm talking to millions of Kenyans who have seen me for so many years on these shows. Chebukati, bring us the cargo manifest. Where is the cargo manifest, Mr. Chebukati?
Details of...
What is a cargo manifest?
Can we leave for the courts to ask? For
No. I am now asking.
Okay.
He's a citizen. He's a citizen.
Yes.
The Chebukati never showed this cargo manifest to anybody. Because pirates, you give Cherera to be the leader of ICT. You send her to Paris, to Athens, to look for the packaging of pirates. It is now in the, you have read it. She didn't find any packaging.
Why
no
not raise an alarm then and raise an alarm?
She raised.
Now? Okay.
The political parties, Mr. Mwangi and Maina herself, that lady who has joined the other guy, what is his name? Dr. William Samuel Ruto, complained that when they arrived in Athens, there was nothing, no action. So for me, this case hinges on the cargo manifest. Why should ballots meant for Jomo Kenyatta International Airport be found in Juba International Airport when the plane passes? It arrived in here, then it went to Kilimanjaro. Was there an air diversion? Show me. I'm not a judge. I'm not entering their case. I am a public prosecutor for the people of the world. And I'm now coming to another point before I give way. A leader welcomed by terrorists.
Dr. Masanga.
Yeah, Al-Shabaab have just sent a message. No, wait. Hey, let me speak. I'm a soldier and I'll die a soldier. If you hate me.
This is my space. And
it's your space. But the Al-Shabaab have issued a statement and everybody has seen.
Ruto has no control over that.
Yes.
President-elect has no control over that. Whoever congratulates him is their choice. That is why President Uhuru Kenyatta has not said a thing. And up until now, every president has
leave Al-Shabaab.
Yes.
I want to teach African presidents. That's why Malema brought chaos in and everybody is shouting. Time has come. I am on this platform as Pan-African Forum. Part of it is to educate some African presidents that they don't know their constitutions of their friends. You cannot start writing a congratulatory letter. You write it to the party of UDA. But there is constitutional arrangements of Kenya that the president can finally be announced for inauguration when all the processes in Kenya, Linda, please, are complete. You see how shameful the presidents in Africa have been? They are very ashamed. You write a full page congratulating a man whose election tomorrow could be nullified. Do you now write another one to say, I'm sorry, nullification took place, but I'm very sorry. You kill your own. I have never been in a class. I studied political science to the last iota on planet Earth.
Let me allow this.
I have never seen these presidents, if they have communication, people who have brains.
Are you comfortable with the silence of President Uhuru Kenyatta? Are you comfortable?
No, but you are cutting me short.
Yes,
let
I am
me
trying to
finish.
get, yes.
There are two presidents, friends of mine on this continent, whom I called, and they changed their statements to say pending.
The Supreme Court ruling.
Yes, and I don't want to mention them here because some people could get jittery. Pending, the finishing. That's good English, but you can't write a full page
Well, we have not-
that I like you, that you are so nice, we are going to work with you. Tomorrow.
You have expected for President Uhuru Kenyatta
From tomorrow, the court
Msanga.
starts.
All right.
President Uhuru Kenyatta is a leader of this nation.
At least
He's
say
keep-
something and they say,
on who?
and then say pending the Supreme Court.
No. He can't say that. He will finally have a sword. Do you have the sword? Does Ruto have a sword?
He does not.
Does Ruto have a sword?
That is why we say pending.
When is he going to get that sword?
You see, even Uhuru's government is implicated on Chebukati's affidavit.
Affidavit.
So he
But
can't.
even
So
before,
as
then,
the-
even before then, even before we knew that, there are people who are going to petition this in court.
Well, definitely. I think there are factors underlying his silence. And I think various affidavit now have confirmed. Because the moment you seriously implicate his government, then definitely, and that's why Attorney General
It's in order for him to be
withdrew from supporting or standing with IEBC as has been the previous presidents, because this election has a lot of questions that need answers, and I think being rushed to jeopardize that, because right now we are on eggshell. And let me tell you, it's very possible to have this country fall back into anarchy. Because when there's lawlessness and there's abuse of citizen sovereignty, the end result is we take back our power. When we take back our power, what we can do with it, you will not understand.
Philip,
and we have a case of over 50-50, about 50 million support of various sides. Just a quarter of that can mess up the entire nation.
All right.
With a population which is very vulnerable, economically abused and challenged. We have to be very cautious, and I think that's why Uhuru and even the Supreme Court must be very conscious and decisive in the decision they are making, because it determines the future of this country.
Philip.
You know, I've said before on this very show that the country is split into two. Actually, as my two friends have said, we are standing on shells, weak sand. We're actually standing on explosives. And anything can trigger. And I don't want to imagine the consequences that this country will face. About President Uhuru Kenyatta, don't forget that he is the President of the Republic of Kenya as we speak, head of state and commander-in-chief. He's not just a president, he's head of state, president, commander-in-chief. And he is not the president or head of state of one or two individuals. He covers all of us. All of us, whether you are in Kenya Kwanza, whether you're in Azimio, whether you're with my brother Juma, wherever you are, he stands for all of us. He's a unifying factor. So when you're a unifying factor, you cannot be seen to favor any side.
Okay.
So I don't speak on behalf of the president, because I have no brief. I'm not the spokesperson or whatever, or the minister in charge of anything. But I'm speaking as a Kenyan.
Right.
That he, at this time, must navigate this country in a very, very careful and intelligent manner. And he requires wisdom. And in my view, I think what President Uhuru has done is what any right-thinking person in a position of leadership would do. That you remain calm, that you allow the institutions that have been mandated to deal with the challenges we are facing, to deal with them. And then after that has settled, and the dust has settled, then the president can make his pronouncements.
Okay.
If our courts, the Supreme Court, decide to confirm Ruto, I am sure The president, he's been a gentleman. He'll come out and say, okay, I supported the other side, but I mean, the courts have pronounced themselves.
Yeah.
But again, if the courts then find that Raila validly won the election, and I'm sure he will congratulate Raila Odinga. If we are taken back to a rerun by the same courts, I am sure he still has to navigate this country and hand over to the person who Kenyans will ultimately have decided that this is the person who should, take this country forward. But you see, what is most important, and I keep on repeating this, it is not about the individual, it's about Kenya. Right. You know, supposing I am pronounced as the head of somebody who has won the election, and I'm waiting for swearing in, and the almighty clauses were filed, what happens? Okay. This Kenya does not belong to you or me. It belongs to all of us. It belongs to posterity. We're only holding it in loan to the future generations.
All right.
So let us not be so boastful, and we are just human beings. We are here for the time being. We may not be here tomorrow. So let the courts and those institutions which have mandate do their job, and ultimately God will decide.
Before we get to the mini polls briefly and just look at how then they relate to the 9th August poll and whether there's going to be some effect on the same, this narrative that is being propagated that President Uhuru Kenyatta could have orchestrated this whole matter for him to stay longer in power. Here or there?
And no, let me begin first, because
because leaders are saying
I am singled out as Uhuru Kenyatta's man.
Are you singled out, or you acknowledge?
Yes, but he's my friend. Did I buy friendship?
No.
Did you buy friendship?
No, you don't.
No. If I like him because of his Pan-African views, and he has guided Kenya. Uhuru Kenyatta is one of the few people in this world that you can find a man whom you put as your deputy, walking around, going to your backyard, even to your own village, to insult you, and you keep quiet. Where would you get such a man?
In Africa.
In Africa. Tell me.
Oh.
Even in Kampala, if you mention the name that Museveni is old, they will take you to Duzira forever. But you have found a man who is so good like this one. And you insult him the whole morning, the whole night. Moses Kuria insults him until the blanket comes to take him. Yeah? Another one insults him. Dini Nyoro insults him. Ichungwa insults the man. The man is quiet.
So this
is a good president that you Kenyans will miss one day. You will cry like Jesus told the mothers of Jerusalem, that don't cry for me. I've gone cry for your children. When Uhuru Kenyatta leaves, he's not sticking to power. This thing that you are creating that is sticking to power, where? We have a lot of work to do. We are proud as Africans, Pan-Africans, to go ahead in Addis Ababa.
And therefore this...
Yes, this one, as we settle down, the Supreme Court decides Uhuru Kenyatta will go away and go and do some other things and become the Romanian citizen, because he grew up in a cultured home, not a home where you think of not having shoes. Therefore, you go and fight other people who have shoes.
Holding right there. I think the message is home.
Yes, in a shop.
I think the
in a shop, listen, in a shop, in Eldoret. I grew in a home where I walked 5 miles from 1955 to today. I used to walk 5 miles. Jiggers used to pierce me. But I've never envied people like a Juma or my friend. That is a very bad man. You people in Kenya.
Can we...
let me finish by saying, Emperor Julius Caesar said, it is not my death that you should mourn, but mourn for the death of the Roman Empire.
Can we shelve it at that? And we ask, these elections or mini elections that are being conducted, just how much is what that played out in the 9th of August going to interfere the possibilities of this ones being free, fair, of the Kenyans or the citizens of these specific constituencies or counties or wards? How much will they be interfered in terms of the decision that they make?
Well, definitely a lot of activities around, going around right now to consolidate, to PR activity, let me put it like that, to endorse various outfits. And each person is seeking credibility from every quarter. And I think the key question should be who wins, the citizens, who is on the citizen side. So any victory will amount to credibility endorsement or legitimacy, if I may put it correctly. But I think the questions that led to postponement of these elections are the things that need to be answered. Were they supposed to be postponed? You know, sometimes all the messes can be thrown on our table and we just keep handling them. If I look at Article 220,
Doc, can you allow me to, distract your line of thought briefly? We're coming back on the Article 226 of the Constitution, or the election, or what?
Yes, of the Election Act.
And then we cross over to Kakamega briefly, listen to what Fernandez Baraza has to say in regards to this. I'm told he's already cast his vote, and then we come back.
Considered opinion, hiyo ni an election offense, and I want to urge IEBC and all the security agencies to make sure they take action so that watu wapige kura kwa haki na uhuru without intimidation.
That's a very serious allegation. Do you maybe have any evidence to that?
And if so, you have reported the authorities?
We have already reported the authorities. Even here we had people who are dishing out money. We have evidence, so I've already reported the authorities. Issues around voter bribery, because it's happening all over the place. In fact, when you move around, you'll actually witness the voter bribery is all rampant across the board. And that's why I'm asking IEBC and all the security agencies to make sure that they actually prevent voter bribery. People should be allowed to exercise their democratic right by voting without coercion and intimidation.
Is this low voter turnout, is it related with the postponement of the election, maybe from 9th to 8th?
I think, in my opinion, the low voter turnout is typical of a by-election. This is more or less like a by-election. And usually when you have a by-election, we don't have a very large voter turnout. And that's why I'm taking this opportunity to urge all the supporters, of my supporters, to come up in large numbers so that they can actually vote and exercise their democratic right of electing, or rather voting for their governor, who is Fernandez Baraza.
Initially, you had indicated that IEBC was going to
so far, I've only checked a few cases, not here, but in other polling stations, where Kimskis have failed. We've had around 4 cases in Holera primary. We also had a case in Ngairwe primary. Even here I'm told there is one stream that the Kimskis have failed. So what I've done is to contact the county returning officer so that we can have an alternative in terms of authorizing use of the manual register. That is something that will also affect voter turnout, because when people have come to vote and they are not given an opportunity because of a Kimskit failing, that definitely will affect voter turnout. So my request to IEBC is to ensure that they address the issues around the Kimskit, because for me it is something that is going to affect our voter turnout. And it is important, when the Kimskits have failed, they quickly authorize use of the manual register, because it's an alternative that has been provided by the law.
Election is about winning and losing. If you lose, you have to get that.
Of course, election is about winning and losing, but I'm confident Kakamega people will elect me the second governor of Kakamega County. Yeah. Definitely, if it is fair, I will accept, but what I just want to urge my supporters, we are going for nothing other than a win today. We have the first lady here.
say your name and then
My name is Janet Kasili Barasa. I'm the incoming First Lady of Kakamega County.
how would you find the process so far?
The process so far is fair and quick. I've only taken around 2 or 3 minutes in the room, but unfortunately we have very few voters standing out to come and vote. So we would like to urge the voters, wherever they are, to come out and vote in large numbers. You know, this is the day we have been waiting for. So we have no option but to vote, and vote in the right governor, who is Fernandez Barras.
Thank you very much for your time.
All right, a quick break and then we come back with more on that.
You are watching TV 47, the home of untold stories.
Trison School of Medical Health Science and Technology is a premier training institute for market-driven
Despite being visually impaired, he is a jack of all trades. It is our quest to find answers on how to take care of children with special needs and those with disability. You do not need to see musical notes to understand music, but rather to have your soul feel the vibe.
Actually, for us to make a wheelchair, we have to take measurements of the user.
After doing my assessment, I get to know the parent, I get to know the heaviness she's carrying.
Disability comes at different stages of life.
How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business. Farming. Tasty Wednesday. Fitness Thursday. And Feel Good Friday. With amazing DJs, celebs.
Waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga.
And music bands. Every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m.
The next set of millionaires are farmers. As we know, agriculture has been and still is the backbone of our economy. As we traverse the different counties to meet different farmers, we ensure to get the story of how they started farming and even how they continue to penetrate the market and overcome the challenges.
Hapa, the reason why niliweka goose na si ducks. Goose, they are very easy to maintain.
A lot of farmers keep on calling, inquiring whether you're supposed to raise...
Contrary to law or instructions, the person is liable for any loss arising from that use and shall make good the loss, whether the person remains the holder of the office or not. We invest quite a lot in election process. I saw some posts from a lady called, former commissioner called Akombe, illustrating the various changes she would desire to see in the IEBC. And one of them, she says that IEBC should not be investing on Kim's kit every election. Unfortunately, Linda, our funds just works correctly well, and they cost less compared to these kits. These kits always refuse to work when they are required to work. Like right now, the kids are failing in where? Who should be held accountable for this? We've had serious waste even the the publication of the voting, the ballot papers in these now areas where we are doing repeat elections. Who is going to account for these loss or wastages? And on whose account? This is citizens' money that has been wasted. I know some people, sometimes we just treat them like it's a casual occurrence. No one is held to account. And this is why I think, for once, if the Supreme Court can set a precedent, if it means paying with your life in the prison or paying the loss that you've caused, every public office must start being accountable.
From Chebukati.
And I find it a bit wanting when we are allowed told to, let's forget and move on, and then the recurrence keep occurring, and the type of the reward these systems are giving to our electoral process are rewards that are actually taking us back in terms of our democratic gains. We need democratic gains which enhance functional institutions. And for political institutions to start functioning, all the office holders and public office holders must understand the office they're holding. If you are a legislator or a parliamentarian, you must know your oversight role. You are not elected to go and start forming coalition and endorse another political party. You are elected to serve your citizen. And I think this also goes to even Azimio side. If these individuals will not rise up to the needs and the demands of those institutions, then it will still be the citizen who is losing. And this is why, as Justice and Freedom Party, we have remained and then we are staying our course. Right? This time we have elected leaders in various areas. For once, I congratulate them. We've also fought hard, and then we are actively participating in various assemblies now. And I'm telling our guys to uphold our virtues and our code of conduct so that we remain servants of the people. And I like the way my aspirants have been calling me, from where we are, which side should we go? And I'm telling them, as it stands, JFP has no coalition with any political party whatsoever, but as a visions and mandate that we must implement.
What happened?
And we are going
what
to
happened
stand
to
with
the
them.
Eagle? Was it the Eagle?
The Eagle Alliance?
Yes.
Yes, those are the formations of various alliances. I'm still working and also coalescing with various political parties as we pursue our political endeavors. And then, of course, I've worked
Therefore,
closely.
there's a connection to some alliance.
Well, and these alliances are of like-minded, specific values. And when we're talking about restoring sanity in a democratic process, where we are bringing back moral virtues, leaders who do not fleece their citizen, who do not sacrifice their citizen at the hour of need, but serves them. Honest leadership whom you can trust. You can't at this moment elect this leader now on this platform or this ideology. Tomorrow they're on the other outfit that you are not even resonating for.
All right.
This is a serious abuse of citizen sovereignty.
And the creature calling you must be condemned.
Philip.
Yeah.
Kakamega County, the mini elections that we're having across the country, I don't want to say interference, but the connection of them with what played out on the 9th of August, with these defections that people are talking about, not defections as such, but this, connections with the supposed president-elect or the party.
Raiding.
That is it raiding?
First of all, let me say this, Linda, that I feel for the people of Kakamega County.
Is it?
Yes, because they're supposed to have had these elections on 9th, like any other Kenyan. They are denied that opportunity. They have been punished. I feel for the people of Mombasa County. I feel for them. They have been denied a chance of electing their leader on 9th, as they should have done. I feel for them. It's unfortunate that the people who have been given this mandate to organize elections in accordance with the law failed us. Not because of anything, not because that we didn't give them adequate resources to organize a credible election, but because of their own failure. They failed us, and in any other civilized society by now these people should have gone home. But we live in a country where people who fail, people who steal, people who completely should not be close to any public office are the ones who are holding public office. So back to Kakamega County. It's a very interesting mini by-election, so to speak. I'm told that the turnout is very low, but you can understand, you know, when you are geared towards an event and then you know, for whatever reason it's cancelled, I mean, that can affect your morale.
And there's a petition in court as pertaining to the turnout.
I'm urging the people who have not come out to vote to come out and exercise their constitutional right, despite the failures that were instigated by IEBC. You know, don't let this chance slip off your hands. And it's a very interesting for me, because the three main contenders are my personal friends. So this is sibling rivalry. We have my brother Cyrus Jirongo. You have my brother Baraza. You have my brother, actually my nephew Cleo. So I mean, this is a family matter. So I wish them all well. Let the people, let the people of Kakamega County decide on who should be their next governor. I'm sure they'll use their wisdom. But let me say this. You know, this is the third cycle after the new constitution was put in place, 2010. This is the third cycle. We had 2013, yeah? We had 2017, we had 2022, now 2022. If you have not learned from the previous mistakes, because as a good manager, you look at what happened to determine, at least to prepare for the future. Of course, you look at many other factors. But if you've not learned from the two previous elections that we had, you know, to prepare for general elections, we even have Kim's kit failing, where an institution that has been given all the resources that are required to run an election, you know, you have them failing. Kim's kit in just in 2 counties, total failure. I think those managing the electoral body need to be ashamed of themselves. If I were them, such failure should not be entertained. If I were them, I would have resigned. I can tell you, because I don't entertain such failure. I don't entertain mediocrity. Yeah, and we've seen this, you know, really permeate in the electoral processes. Right. It's unfortunate. I mean, how can you even managing 2 counties become a problem? How? Like Juma said, these phones that we buy have never let us down. Even Mulika Mwizi, at least they manage to allow you to make a call and receive a call and send an SMS. These gadgets, whatever you're calling them, Kim's kit, we are spending millions of shillings to procure them, and they can't work, and they only fail to work during an election date.
Lots of questions.
These questions need to be interrogated by any person who has any level of, you know, managerial understanding. Because how can Chibukati and his team explain this failure? You can explain failure when there's a bigger picture. Yes. You know, the entire country. Yes. But now 2 counties. They're still failing. How can he explain himself?
Well, 2 counties.
He's about to go home, but I can tell you, history will not favor him. History will be very harsh on him. I tried to advise him many moons before, but I think he's not a man who listens. He's a man who listens to himself.
Dr. Masanga, yes. Take it slow. A petition on the postponement of the election that could have informed low turnout on the presidential vote. That is where the petition ends. But equally, on this other side, we have had reports of the fact that you know, the turnout is not so friendly, is not so promising, in as much as we'd say the day is still young. As well, this delay could have informed this, and therefore, really, the people of Kakamega, you know, Kacheliba, the people of Rungai, the people of Mombasa, and many other places will not come out to, as well, yes, you know, speak of what they want.
I told you the word here. I teach political science, man, and I mark people's marks. They get marks. Some are PhD doctors better than myself. This election was gerrymandered by IEBC. Period. The selection of ballot papers missing in strategic important counties was a scheme by the IEBC. That's why Wafula Chebukati cannot show the cargo manifest today. Because if he showed the cargo manifest, in the cargo manifest in English language, it is the packaging, the numbering, the reference, the documents, where they are going, the consignee, the consignor. You know, these are all in cargo manifest. But because the ballots of Kenya came from even Panya roads, seriously, it is there. Panya roads, cars were intercepted with so many lorries, not only one type of border, even in the Tanzanian border. People have evidence. The government has kept quiet because they don't want to make people start, you know, having chaos. But this election was badly gerrymandered. It was gerrymandered in a sense that these things would happen. A director of ICT, you are in charge, you're a commissioner, but you are in charge of ICT. Then you are told you have been removed.
Different, yeah.
No, but you are in charge of ICT, but you don't know what the computer is doing. Hello? You don't know. Cherera has told us she didn't even know what the computer was doing, despite the fact that she was the commissioner for
No, not Cherera.
It is the other gentleman, the judge, the former judge.
Yes.
He said he didn't even know how a computer. Wafula did not allow him to even touch the computer. So it goes to show how this election was gerrymandered right from day one. So the next point that you need to look at, the Supreme Court, hopefully, at the end of this exercise, let them not leave us hanging. They have left us hanging, as my colleagues have said. 3 years, 2013, they left us hanging. In London, the people who took chicken, what was it? Mr. Smith, who bribed the Osodwa. What is the
scandal?
James Oswago. The man was jailed 14 years. He has served the 14 years. He has no house. I know him, he's my friend. His house was taken, property was taken. He came back to fill the form for DSS, which is Social Security Fund, so that you can survive as an editor walking in the streets in the train in London. That's very good. But in Africa, these guys are still working with the same money that they stole from Mr. Smith, who was jailed 14 years. Isn't it time for these judges? Some of them are friends to meet in those drinking places. Look at us, we are crying for freedom, jamen. Funga watu hao, wengine, so that the rest will not touch a Kenya's vote, change it, or change one figure. There are people saying mathematical error. Which mathematical error? When we gave you 55 billion Kenya shillings to buy a calculator.
All right, fair enough. Dr. Masanga. And you know, you have got enough
buy a calculator
from what is happening with the media elections back to the Supreme Court.
Look here, 55 billion shillings. Mr. Chebukati and the three commissioners plus that man called, what is his name? Marjan. They didn't buy calculators to do mathematics, which the machine can tell you.
All the commissioners, the entire commission. I mean,
the other commission. Is it a coincidence that in 2017, 4 commissioners left? Is it again a coincidence that in 2022, commissioners distanced?
Is that a coincidence?
If you marry a wife who always brings you bad luck, that every time you get out of the house and you find a black dog crossing your path and you go back, don't you change the tactics and go to another village, another clan? I'm telling you, as an elite of Africa, you go and change another clan. Because if you find a black dog crossing your road every day, you in African society, some of us,
it's a bad omen, they say.
We don't go to the function you are going to. Chebukati has found the black dog twice.
But he's exiting all the
This is another, no, but because
Dr. Masanga.
I didn't want to tell you what he told me. But if you are pushing me, I'm going to tell you now.
I want
here.
to push you further, but
Yes,
before I push
you
you,
know what he told me in a hotel in Mombasa?
That?
Ha, la, 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 la. Ah, la, 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 la.
Why don't I
I'm an
trust
editor.
politicians?
Let me keep quiet.
Everybody keeps coming out to say what they said.
Because you're hanging around the wrong politicians. You should
not
need to start
hanging
hanging around
all right.
honest,
Juma,
trustworthy politicians.
I have sat with you for 5 years.
Yes, sir.
I have never recorded you.
Right.
But why do you
But Mr. Chebukati called me.
Record.
He saw me in my hotel, and I don't stay in a room that he stays in. My room is always
organized.
First class, no, beyond deluxe. Because I don't fit in deluxe room. Anyway, I stay in, because
therefore you decided to record your conversation, your private conversation.
Have I told you I've recorded? Don't worry.
All right, okay.
If you push me, I will say what he told me.
Okay.
But I have an editor who is older than Chebukati. Chebukati has a body head, but I'm older. This man has a body, but I'm older. I've seen 10 military coups.
Philip doesn't have a bald head.
No, I've seen 10 military coups in my own country. I've participated in overthrowing government in 1980, in 79, so I know where trouble is. When I keep quiet, as an editor, I've kept quiet. Like I told you that on Sakaja issue.
You kept quiet.
Yes, I'm an editor and let my son rule Nairobi. But later on, please go down and pray.
Dr. Justice Juma.
Yes,
we're coming to a close. Yes.
Looking at the voter turnout, I see a serious affront to citizen sovereignty, which actually now is causing injury. Because looking at the rate of turnout, even in the previous, currently they are looking at the affidavit, there's no clarity between the actual percentage of the voter turnout, whether it was 64% or 65%. I think that is appearing in one of the affidavits. And the turnout we are seeing right now in Kakamega actually is worrying. And our fear is, are we sending back the citizen to lawlessness? Because outside this required order, where we delegate our powers, what are the other alternative avenues? Because when we have it, we've seen arrogant politicians who can manipulate and misuse it. And then it's possible that anyone can direct it in any direction now. So for the good of the land, what are the best areas, the best mechanisms that we can use to uphold the rule of law? I agree with my brother that yes, Akombe left, and Nkatha team also left, and then people were castigating these characters, and they were abused instead of pushing for electoral integrity. Because as we see, our electoral process cannot stand the proof of time. I saw LSK affidavit in their conclusion. LSK says, conclude that on the meaning of all votes cast, LSK respectively submit that the rejected vote should be factored in when computing 50% plus one threshold, since it is a vote cast in exercise of the right to a vote, even if it confers no numerical advantage to any candidate.
And they asked to be friends of the court. The question is, why at this point, and is it to overturn what it is that the court has declared on before?
No, those computing anomalies.
Anomaly.
They are simple
mathematics.
Activities that violate the foundations that elections actually should be conducted in, because the election, as promised by IEBC, was supposed to be free, fair, simple, verifiable, and accountable, something credible. But when you end up into semantics of numericals, you tend to confuse the voter, who actually, we know all the votes, whether they are spoiled or what, they amount to the total number of votes who turned out.
And therefore,
That
it's in
actually-
order for LSK to challenge what was determined by the
well, it's a
Supreme
simple
Court
science.
of Kenya.
It's a simple science,
Okay.
a simple math that when we all turn out, this was the percentage of voter turnout. And if this is the percentage of voter that turned out, this is the number who voted. These ones rejected, these ones voted for so-and-so, this one did not vote for so-and-so.
Yes.
So all these semantics are the things that are eroding electoral integrity. And if we are to push for electoral integrity, then we don't need to measure in minors, where you talk about who was night running at whose house when, who was, those are side theatrics that we should actually, a respectful public servant should not treat us to now. And me, I think, is an abuse even to the Supreme Court. If somebody is giving you such useless affidavit, when we are pushing for electoral integrity, it is a question of this number of votes that were cast. Who got the majority winning votes? If it is so and so, is it corresponding with the Form 34As? If there are questions, according to the DCI's forensic audits, that there are possibilities of interferences, and to a point that, yes, we can see in the public portal that we're given that all this from a polling station, Form 34B, A, has changed from a JPEG form to a PDF form. At what point were they altered, and who was formatting them?
Okay.
When the commission should actually ought to have just oversighted what was in the polling station, which is
well, let's just say the burden of proof, right?
Well, burden of proof is on the individuals who are causing all these alterations.
All right.
And I think that may bite them seriously if the Supreme Court will have the guts not to play politics, but also uphold the rule of law and respect the citizens' sovereignty.
All right. Mr. Director, I'd appreciate if we're given updates of what exactly is playing out in Rongai, Nakuru. A bit of a fracas being witnessed somewhere in Rongai, Nakuru, as these people or these constituents are headed for a vote or are voting today to elect the next member of parliament. Either it will be Raymond Moi, who seeks to, get the mandate, but then again, there are also others that have also presented their bid to the people of Rongai to see to it that they are accorded that mandate to serve them as member of parliament. And so we'll be getting more updates from Chichi Josephine as to what really is happening down there, the altercations that we are witnessing, and whether this in any way would affect the voting process. Do we cross over and listen in, Mr. Director? All right, gentlemen, not so good to say as we come to a close. We have to close.
There is a problem in that place.
Yeah.
That the deputy president running mate, the deputy president elect, the Kuricha, called deputy president elect, because for now we have not formalized the Kurichaship until it is the Supreme
Let's accord
Court.
them the respect
Yes,
they deserve. And
Mr. Rigathi, His Excellency Mr.
Rigathi Gachagua, yes,
said we are coming to finish Moi's family.
Yes.
Surely.
Such is a game of politics.
You are building a country of togetherness. And then you are going to say such statements. It doesn't go well. You go and get your vote, and win your vote, and go home. On the question of percentage, I think Boss has done very well, Dr. Juma. The vote that entered that, let me be practical to Kenyans. Hey, the vote that entered there is total cast, is the cast vote.
Whether it was spoiled,
whether
they marked
in the final tally, you must tell the world, like we do in the civilized states of UK, Britain, United Kingdom, Scotland, US, where my friend here is very favorable. He likes to talk. Every Kenyan likes to talk about the United States. I was in the US.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and most of them, Ugandans say we are.
But if you've been there, why not?
We are in UK. You know, the vote there is
You keep
cast.
talking about your home in UK.
No, yeah, but Ugandans, most Ugandans don't talk about UK. Most Kenyans talk about US. Am I wrong?
Okay.
Yes.
Well, based on where
most
they've
of the
been to.
educated guys, like my governance expert here, and Juma, they talk about going to US.
Really?
The number of visas
coming to
Africa.
I have not.
Not Juma.
Right.
But
Talk more of out of
Let-
Africa.
Okay.
Yes, out of Africa. Let me be honest. The total number of votes cast must be reflected, and it must have the figure. If you look at, that's why I brought in this common denominator, a calculator, whether Chinese or American or British or Kenyan, will calculate for you the figures that were cast, put aside, the figures that were spoiled, put aside, then you come to get the percentage. Now you are presenting on the same paper. Look at the same paper Wafula used, because we intercepted it immediately. He finished the announcement. We intercepted it. He want to change it. And I'm very saddened that Wafula Chebukati took rumor mongering to the Supreme Court. A gossip.
To say that he met Tuju?
Yeah, a gossip. If they met Tuju to look at their girlfriends, side dish.
So was it necessary for
Why do you
Tuju to
bring
respond
it?
then?
No,
Or
yes.
was it necessary
Usually
for
Wafula
Tuju to
Chebukati is
respond?
well known for doing some dodgy things of girlfriend and
You
side
think that
dish.
will not be valid to...
Why do you
us?
bring us the story of side dish girlfriends? You met Tuju in a dungeon. That's your problem.
But are we not the
They
same
can't-
people that
no,
have
no,
said,
no.
Dr.
The
Masaka,
affidavit.
it would not be proper for him to meet anybody who is a political player at this point of politics?
It was very wrong, first
So
of all.
don't you think this would
For
be very
him
instrumental
also-
in this case?
For him also to drag names of good officers, especially the army that has been neutral in
Factually, if he
No,
is going
where?
to substantiate
Where
that...
did you- if you take that video to court, you must record, you must tell who you were recording and which location you
But
are.
the person of Wafula Chebukati would just wake
No.
up and decide to mention Solicitor
My
General,
friend,
to mention
Wafula
IG.
Wafula Chebukati, my dear sister, in a quiet mood, he created an enterprise of criminals.
After all said and done, it's a
Yes.
court of fact.
Electoral management
Yes.
He did not
a constitutional mandate
Yes.
of a commission
chairperson.
called IEBC.
Yeah.
And the returning officer, as we stand right now, is the chairperson of IEBC, who is also, according to Maina Kiae petition in 2017 versus IEBC, Supreme Court invoked directives that ought not to be operating individually and should, if possible, and if Supreme Court will go in that direction, then there will be, it may be found culpable because of not making corporate decisions, but did unanimous decision individually.
But equally, that can be challenged.
Well, the challenge of it is, per the Constitution, if you violated constitutional even directives and advice, why we go to court is we go to court to seek directives or interpretation regarding the Constitution and how certain act can be applied. So if that is the answer which is at the table right now, because the question is on electoral integrity, is it credible? Is it verifiable? Actually, whether you name who or point whichever direction, the mandate or the question that needs to be answered about the election lies with the IEBC as a commission. So whether you call whoever you're calling,
you can even
actually
name your girlfriend
it can lead
as
to
I've met you.
self-incrimination in
But
that
not-
you are also subjugating the responsibility and the mandate of the commission to entities who are not mandated to do this. And actually, I'm on record. I'm on record to have written a letter to advise Chief Justice and advise Chebukati as Justice and Freedom Party on regards to participation on a committee that was called Election Preparedness Committee. This committee was chaired by Chief Justice of the Court of Kenya. And our perception was the Supreme Court is specifically mandated to preside over electoral disputes. And if the president of Chief Justice is the one seen or perceived to be chairing election process, should this election process go to now where it is right now, definitely players like us had concerns that their authority and mandate as arbitrators of dispute regarding election was going to be questionable.
Doctor.
And Chebukati for once listened to us and they withdrew from that committee.
True. Yeah.
Now, the mistakes that Chebukati keep on committing.
Doctor, I asked for your permission that time and again we'll be crossing over to different parts of
Fair
the
enough.
country where the mini elections are ongoing. And therefore we go to Rongai. We am told that Raymond Moi, the current member of parliament, is addressing the people.
Because campaign period is over.
Are you alleging that your opponents are wailing?
They are still campaigning. They're still campaigning. Because you're not supposed to campaign, I believe, 48 hours before we vote. So why are they running around? Why are they still talking to voters? You know? So the onus is still on IEBC. They still are not really conducting these elections in a free and fair manner.
Will you be satisfied with the outcome and will you maybe concede if you lose?
I think we'll wait until we see the results.
Okay, the low voter turnout, what is your clarion call given that it's 2 hours, 30 minutes after the polls opened at 6 a.m.?
Yeah, and that is why I believe I came today in order to be able to encourage voters to come out and vote. And I believe we've still got a lot of time until 5 o'clock. So we can't, this is still too early to be able to say that there is going to be a low voter turnout. But I believe it's going to be okay. I believe it's going to be all right. Not personally, not me, but I feel the people are being intimidated. You know, when they hear a governor is here, a senator is here, and they're campaigning for the other party, they feel intimidated. Why should they bring all these people? There were about 54 of them, you know, in Rongai, against one person, one individual, one person, 54 elected members of whether it's Senate or National Assembly, you know. So it is that aspect of intimidation that I am concerned about. Yeah.
Have you formally made your concerns to IEBC?
We did. We wrote a letter to IEBC and we were called to Kambiamoto. And I think it was made clear to us that they will not be agents. But now they are running around and they have got IEBC badges. So you begin to wonder, how did they get these badges? They can access polling stations and yet they are not agents. And we are not. We were told that there would be only 2 policemen in a polling station. You're supposed to, every candidate should have 2 agents, you know. But now they have all these extra people running around with IEBC badges and they can access. I think Wangari Maathai was at Sasimua. How did she get a badge? You know, she's not an agent.
Martha Wangari, that's
Yeah, Martha Wangari.
the MP for Gilgil.
Gilgil.
Martha Wangari is in studio currently, Citizen TV.
Lakini tuliambiwa ameingia Sasimua. So all these people, why do they have badges, IEBC badges? This is my question.
So your problem is with the elected leaders who are...
Elected leaders and IEBC, why give them badges? Why issue them with IEBC badges? And we were told you're only supposed to have 2 agents per polling station and there will be 2 policemen and that is it. And they said nobody should be within 400 meters of a polling station. Why are they all over the polling station now? Yeah? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Linda, that is the incumbent member of parliament for Rongai constituency, who is Raymond Moi. And of course, he just voted some few seconds or rather some few minutes ago, and understand that he has issues with the coming of the Nakuru Town East member of parliament. That is David Gikaria, who sometimes back later or earlier has been rushed away by voters who were angry here at Kiamunyi polling stations. Of course, they had fears that Gikaria, or rather the Nakuru Town East member of parliament, was here to interfere with, of course, the ongoing exercise that is currently ongoing at the Rongai constituency. Therefore, Linda, I am here pitching tent to be able to bring to our viewers what will be transpiring, or rather what will be happening here in Rongai constituency, Nakuru County. Over to you, Linda. My name is Chichi Josephine.
Thank you, Chichi, for the updates from that, and a tough talking Moi right there. But equally, as he says, I think we can only wait. The day, once again I say, is still young. And so Chichi will be coming back to you for more updates from that. And also as we look forward to get our correspondents across the different parts that are going for an election, a mini election today, for the same that is in question of updates. And so as we come up, as we of course listen to what it is that you were making in terms of submission as we wind up.
Yes, as I stated earlier, electoral integrity is very key. And that is what actually can help us achieve the desired goal. By the way, sometimes, we are distracted to major and minors. There is an intentional purpose to why we elect leaders. Our life does not begin and end with election. Election is just a process through which we govern ourselves. And once we are governing ourselves, what next? I'm sure the biting inflation right now is affecting all of us. The prices of the things you used to buy right now actually are doubling. And the salary remains the same. Resources probably we've not exploited sufficiently various opportunities that are available. What is China trying to do? While his index actually bullish on the downward fall, they're looking at Africa. And what do they intend to do with Africa? And this is why leadership matters. Because probably they look at leaders who will be exploited again to help them get back there. And that's what the West is doing. What have they done with the dollar now? What are we doing with our oil? What are we doing with our resources? Why should they remain in individuals' hands? The whole world went through the pandemic.
Right.
Various governments took up various measures, which as we stand today, have brought that they have stabilized the economies to a point that they are not just talking about election. They're talking about their daily lifestyle. How can Kenyans live happily or govern themselves happily? These are the questions that we keep on being distracted on by our political system. Here is a case where we were having a political event, actually in the previous election.
Let's sum it up.
Yes, last election term. We raised issues with the IEBC regarding electoral offense. There is a gazetted campaign period. We should be 3 months before election. And as we're talking, you see these gentlemen who are now again disturbing our economy and taking away our peace. These are the individuals who campaigned for the entire 5 years term. Now they are at it again. Instead of electoral process moving smoothly, they are actually brought. So it is crisis after crisis, crisis after crisis. At what point will our democratic process will objectively answer to the needs of the citizen and bring peace and happiness to the Kenyan electorates?
Valid question, PK.
Now, let me say this, that elections come and go every 5 years. We as Kenyans have the opportunity to elect whoever we choose and whoever we think can sell and keep our visions, our vision and hope alive. So this one is not different from any other elections that have been held before. It will come, it has come, and it will go. But Kenya is here to remain forever and for all of us. What I would like to see and what I would like to request our Kenyans, me being part of them, is to remain calm and to have faith in our judiciary. The men and women who sit on that bench are men and women of very high integrity and morals. Let us have confidence that they will make a ruling that will be favorable, that will be fair to all of us, so that whatever outcome comes out on faith, that it's embraced by all Kenyans.
Right.
However, there's one thing that I must emphasize. This is the third cycle after the constitution, the new constitution. If we've not learned from the previous two, and we're still making the same mistakes, I think it is time that anybody found to have interfered with the electoral process, and he or she be found to have been criminally liable, then action must be taken.
Right.
I'm hoping that before the end of this year, if there's anybody criminally liable, that he or she will find himself or herself at committee prisons.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Dr. Masanga, in less than a minute.
Thank you very much, viewers. We have been here since 6:30. We have said we leave this in the hands of able Supreme Court. The election was not conducted in a manner. Election is not a one-day event. Even if it is a one-day event, the figures don't add up. The process was mad. It is called gerrymandering, not murdering. I have seen your people on the social media, they have said murder. It is gerrymandering, the change of tactics. For example, Kakamega and Mombasa were just done because there is no cargo manifest to show which ballots to take where, when the serial numbers, they belong to this, to that, or that. This was all a scheme by the IEBC to make sure that there is a problem. Another thing that I want to highlight as I go,
yes.
Chebukati created another scheme of making us journalists look foolish. He told us that go and pick the numbers from the portal. But the portal was being manned from United States.
Was it?
Yes. There's a silent.
Yes, we're waiting.
There was a silent computer in the US that kept us 6 hours away. 6 hours. The other one of France was 2 hours away from us, or 3. This one is 6 hours. That after 2 days of election, what happened? Wafula's manufactured computer kept on giving us results on the portal until he ran to bring it down. That the judges and the Kenyans stay cool, maintain peace.
Yeah.
And the President Uhuru Kenyatta, thank you very much for being a very good president. You are tolerant. You grew up in a family that
thank you, Doctor.
Thanks.
All right.
Otherwise, some people would not be near you.
Dr. David Nyekorach Masanga, Chair Pan-African Forum, governance, leadership, and management expert, and also former town clerk of Nairobi. That is Honorable Philip Kisia, as well as Dr. Justice Juma, the party leader, Justice and Freedom Party. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your feedback. Immense feedback. Immense feedback. Yes, and for the team that has made this a success. All right.
Always give them kudos, especially the cameramen.
It is very, very
important. And they should be given,
We have to go. We have to go.
Yes, some
all right.
more sausages.
I get to see you again tomorrow. Do have yourself a